And wow, YouTube, you're very fast today. You're very fast, YouTube. There we go. Hello. There we are.
Get some of that hot and fast YouTube action.
Yeah.
Sounds dirtier than it was.
It's pretty hot. Subbed and lurking. Nice.
Yay! Thanks, Heretical Nerd.
That's cool. Well, at least I always get the notification that I'm live.
Yeah, that true pop culture here, Andrew Matthews.
Yeah, what's going on, everybody? It's the first Forge of the year.
Yay!
We did it. It's been 3 months since the last one. I checked. That was Expendables. That's still.
Oh, yeah, I was on that one too.
That was so bad that I just
Yeah.
took a break for 3 months.
Is it weird that I feel like I'm gonna enjoy Madam Web more?
Who knows? I mean, Expendables was barely a movie, so
I know. I was so sad. I was like,
So
oh,
bad.
this is what they're doing with Expendables now, I guess.
especially watching the other ones, we're like, oh, I mean, they're silly. Like the first one is a nice novelty thing. It's like, oh, look at all these action heroes. It's kind of cool. Look, there's Stone Cold Steve Austin. I like him because I watch wrestling. And then they just get worse and worse every time. And then 4 is just, I don't even know what 4 was. It's just.
I
gross.
think I'd put the second one above the first one. I think Jean-Claude Van Damme was a more compelling villain than who was it in the first one? I think it was like Eric Roberts or something.
Yeah.
But also it was R-rated. So I think the first Expendables, at least when it came out, it was PG-13. So they were cutting away from a lot of the bloody stuff.
Right.
But Expendables 2, it kind of went hard right away. And yeah, and I like the supporting actress girl, the Asian lady. They're kind of my thing.
What? You should marry one. Oh, wait.
Yeah, probably will. I'm gonna go about that someday.
Very good, very good. First Forge of the year. Yay, now I never do another one. Shut up, Swole, dingus. I mean, Sydney Sweeney is pretty hot, so marginally better automatically. I mean, she's been on Hot Ones, right? That's like been going around, I think I've seen on Twitter.
I mean, yeah, that's kind of the thing. It's like, well, I mean, I know that Sydney Sweeney is going to be in Madam Web, so ultimately, if I just disconnect my brain, I might have a few okay moments. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Like Expendables 4, I guess there was a few lines Jason Statham had that were all right. And honestly, I think it would have been a lot better if they just pulled the rest of the Expendables out of the movie and just made it about Lee, like Lee Christmas. Because I mean, the movie was about him anyways. It's
Pretty much, yeah.
it seemed like they needed to drag Dolph Lundgren out there to show us that he's probably having trouble standing these days because he's like seated in every scene. And yeah, it was just kind of sad.
What a tragedy that Expendables was. I think there's another movie coming up that has a title with like a number in the middle, and it's weird. I forgot which one though. But Expendables is special. It's kind of it rolls off the tongue pretty well, actually.
Yeah.
Not that they intended that to be a thing, but you know, it's a small victory.
Force Stick's always been a favorite one of mine.
Oh yeah,
throwing the number awkwardly into the word for no reason.
The movie you are gave G4Y. Nice. 4 balls roll off the tongue. Yeah, right at the edge of a cliff.
You do need to expend 4 balls in order to progress.
Yeah. Velma Forge finally. No, why is that? I hate that. That's even a meme. I don't want to touch that show with a pair of pliers. That's stinky.
I've not watched a single episode. The coverage and trailers were enough for me to be like, yep, probably not going to be my thing.
I've seen the Aoife Blaz's coverage with ass. I think they did like 3 episodes, and I was like, yep, no, I'm not.
They're just like, we can't do it anymore.
Yeah. If the boys
had an easier time getting through Batwoman.
If my homies can't do it, I won't do it either. I say that I finished Alan Wake too, so I don't know. So I'm obviously a liar.
I honestly, like, the only reason I didn't buy Alan Wake 2 is just because of the Epic Store, and I didn't really want to play it with a controller. Also, people were like, or not people, you know, games journalists at least, the people who were hyping the game up as an absolute masterpiece were saying, wow, like the PC version just, it blows tech out of the water, like it's just an insane game. So I'm like, okay, well, I guess whatever, I'll just wait till
I don't know,
I mean, or something like that eventually, but I after hearing so many people had a negative opinion of it, I'm kind of indifferent to it now, so.
You should just
if
not
it stays on
give it your
EGS
money.
forever, I guess I'll never play it. Yeah.
It's so bad, dude. It's so bad. I don't even understand the technical thing because I mean, to be fair, I played it on the PlayStation, but the graphics kind of reminded me of the Resident Evil stuff, graphically.
Yeah, and I mean, the new Resident Evil games look good.
It looks good, but they
like,
also don't need the way lower recommended settings setups for it to run. Like Alan Wake's 2, when I read those, I was like, what is happening?
I think it seems to me, and granted, as a person who hasn't played the game, I've heard some vague things about what people dislike about it, and I've tried to not dig too deep into the plot, because ultimately I figure if I do play it eventually, I liked Alan Wake and I like American Nightmare, so like, you know, I'd like to play this game at some point just to see for myself what it's like, but the reactions made me not really want to rush into it, and I don't know, I'm kind of I'm sort of in no hurry at this point, because it's like, well,
I mean, shouldn't be.
It might always just be on Epic Store, and I'm never going to use Epic Store. I'm just not.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it was like, I can finally use my PlayStation again for a game. Also, I want to cover it, because I mean, we made like a whole thing. Like me and Mahler, like we played the other ones before. I played through Control the first time as well.
Yeah, Control was great. Too.
Yeah, Control is really cool. I really like Control, and. Jesus, that game, it was such a disappointment. Like, my first stream was pretty positive. It's like, oh, I see how that goes. And then I saw Mauler play the same thing. I was like, oh, no, that's really bad.
And I heard the combat in this one is much more slow and kind of survival horror-ish. Am I correct about that?
Terrible.
Okay, so I have a theory. I think that Remedy is actually not good at making any type of game other than a run and gun shooter specifically. Because I think prior to at least Alan Wake, and I've not played, so Alan Wake 2 fans, don't crucify me for this one. Quantum Break is a stop and pop shooter. Like, it's a cover shooter, but it plays like crap. It sort of plays bad, and the only time you're actually ever having fun in Quantum Break is when you're not in cover because your abilities are charged. You can use some of the abilities and actually run around and shoot, which is what Remedy's good at. And Control seemed to me, at least, like they just took the things that were working about Quantum Break, took out all the stuff that was not working about it, and just made it cooler. And I was like, okay, everything about Control I think was a great step up again above their previous game. And now that I'm hearing that Alan Wake 2 isn't even at all fun to play, I'm just like, but they're such good.
Yeah,
they're so good at making shooters, though.
As James put it, it's like Resident Evil 2 remake, but worse. Yeah.
Well,
it's weird because
I don't
the
hate
first
Resident Evil 2 remakes combat, but like the combat's not really, like, the atmosphere is the reason you play Resident Evil 2, not the combat. The combat is okay. It's fine. It's third-person shooter.
Because mechanics in Alan Wake were fine. It's just run and gun. It's like, yeah, that's fun. That works. But this one is like way slower. You get the Resident Evil feeling, but all worse. And there's like a way thing that I did that comes up later on in the game. That was like really annoying to play because there's so many enemies, and especially on clown sticks. It's not easy to actually get through that.
Yeah, I mean, that's I guess another reason I'd want to play on PC, because I loved playing the first two Alan Wake games on PC, and first two, I mean the game and American Nightmare, like the game and the spin-off, I guess, because Alan going through one of his other delusions in his fantasy world, I suppose. If it is canon, I'm not even sure how American Nightmare counts. Did they make that any more clear in Alan Wake 2?
I mean, as far as I understand, just one of the attempts of him trying to get out, and one of the things that go down. I think James can maybe clarify. He's pretty knowledgeable of those Alan Wake things. Because I skipped American Nightmare because I was running out of time. So I could play Control, which I very much enjoyed. Control is cool.
Actually, that's the reason I didn't make a review for American Nightmare, because I played Alan Wake about 3 weeks or so before Control came out on Steam. Because again, I don't like using the Epic Store, and I made a video for Geeks and Gamers just as a review of Alan Wake to be like, hey, I played like 10 minutes of this on Xbox 360 and never really got into it, and now I'm gonna play through it again on PC, and I was like, hey, this game's actually very good and holds up very well, and now I'm really looking forward to playing Control next week or whenever it was that I finished the previous video, and was super happy when Alan Wake 2 was announced, and yeah.
Well, people are eating that game up for some reason. I didn't. Like, after the second stream, was like, I'm done. Which I wasn't, because I finished it, which was a fucking nightmare. I'll say Grump is right. I wasn't running out of time. I just didn't want to do more run and gun with the same thing, because it got a bit repetitive.
Yeah.
through the game. That's true. Nobody talks about
Yeah, and
Alan
I
Wake 2
think
anymore. That's one of the things like nobody is actually talking about anymore.
see, I'll still see people on Twitter when referencing the game of the year of 2024 will still be saying, "Oh, like Alan Wake 2 got robbed though," and I'm always like, so many people who I know are good at analyzing video games say that game absolutely sucks.
Yeah.
But like some of the people that say it's great, I respect their opinion sometimes too. Like Mutahar, for example, like Some Ordinary Gamers, he loves Alan Wake 2.
I still don't. I
He's
still don't
usually
know.
pretty sharp.
I still
but-
don't know why. I mean, he always says it's. I haven't seen him talk about it properly. I mean, would be interested.
Yeah, that's a good
because,
point.
I don't know.
I've not heard
I
him
feel
really
like he.
explain that. He'll just say like, "Yeah, it's one of the best games that came out last year."
Yeah,
like,
I feel like if
"Was
he
it?"
would
Like,
explain to him what the problems are, he would probably come around because he's pretty reasonable,
fair enough.
from what I understand. But
Yeah, it's not, but generally the content creators I find I will watch in excess of a year, or their content are the ones that I've seen enough of them speak, and they seem at least like they believe what they're saying. That's a big thing. Whereas a lot of YouTubers, especially at Muda scale, just they have this air of phoniness about them, and if you find you like into listening to them, you're kind of like, okay, well, this guy's kind of he's got 3 opinions, and then he takes any topic and then slots it into one of his 3 opinions and then just does the same rant again, and you start noticing patterns like that, and it makes it hard to take someone's opinion seriously. But I don't know, man, Mutahar is like pretty sharp on a lot of stuff. The Alan Wake 2 thing was like, oh, I wonder what he sees in it, I guess.
yeah. Flashlight and Basilisk peak weaponry. Oh
Yeah, it
absolutely.
is.
It's a fun
Your
thing,
enemies
but
have shadow shields. That's what you got to do. Flashlight them in the brain.
it works. It just works. Yeah, 3 months. What's been going on? I mean, I've written down a couple of things I've been doing. I mean, obviously, I was visiting the Long Man for 2 weeks. I just came out of 5 weeks of vacation, basically. At long ass vacation because I didn't take any vacation in work. So it all piled up, and then I also made a small mistake, thinking I can just use the vacation from last year for this year a little bit, which I wasn't allowed
Aw.
to. So I had to use the other ones. I was like, fine, put another week on front.
Yeah.
And
Now I'm off for more than a month.
pretty much, yeah, which was great, by the way. I loved it.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Dude, this first week, I've been back in work for 1 week. Like, I'm only now adjusting to a normal sleep rhythm again. Like, the first couple of days. Monday was a fucking nightmare. I was awake until 5 a.m. because I just couldn't fall asleep. So I had like three hours of sleep or something. And I was like, I should have just made it up through the night. I would have probably felt better that Monday, but alas. Yeah, so that was a fun thing. Obviously, they didn't do shit while I was gone, so everything piled up. They were like, here, can you do everything now? Yeah, sure.
Aw.
Where am I? Can I read my emails first? That would be nice.
At what point did the rest of you stop working? I need to know that before I can continue fixing your
Exactly.
mistakes.
Yeah. But yeah, obviously I was visiting the Long for 2 weeks. I'm sure a lot, if not everyone, have seen the drunk streams I did with Mahler. Those were really fun. I mean, that Simpsons Hit and Run, I
Hilarious.
was pissed up, dude. I like through a third, I didn't remember anything anymore the next day. I was just
That is acceptable drunk driving.
yeah, exactly. I mean, I was doing like 40% shots, like a rum, which was horrible, by the way. I
Jeez.
and also drank beer skis on the side, which was a bad idea.
Mahler was saying that when you guys were starting Bloodborne. He's like, hey, this time don't have beer as chaser.
Hey man, I was in the drinking mood. I mean, I did drink quite a lot, but yeah, it was good fun. I mean, Wolf made a highlight or a supercut of it, which is on the EFAP highlight channel.
Highlights, yeah.
It's I watched it. I was like, oh, that was pretty funny. I don't remember most of it, but that was pretty good.
I mean, yeah, like I gotta thank Wolf for that. I've got a fair amount of people that will come to my streams now and be like, hey, I saw you and like arguing with Doomer or something like that on the EFAP highlights channel, and now I'm checking out your channel. Like,
Right.
wow,
Yeah,
cool.
it's fun.
Thank you, Wolf.
Yeah, they always links all the people that are in the clips, so it's pretty cool. And yeah, we did the Bloodborne one where I was like, okay, I'm not gonna do 40% ones. So I went for Malibu, which is kind of nice to shot. It's like
Yeah.
15%, pretty delicious. I went through the whole bottle
Coconut
and then
rum,
had a
too.
couple of more fireball shots at the end. But that was like a 7 or 8 hour stream, maybe even 9. So Yeah, just
There.
take it a bit easier. But we did beat Cause in the end, which I was surprised by because at that
Oh,
point I
really?
was just
Oh, yeah.
at that point I was really tired and was like, just please, some one of us beat him, just please. I want to sleep.
Jeez. Yeah, see, this is why I know you guys are way better at Souls-like games than I am, because the idea of me getting to Cause in a day, never mind beating him, is just like, I'm like, no, I need more time. I'm gonna need to be stronger than that to have a chance against, even have a chance against Ludwig. Never mind Cause.
And we also
Like,
didn't
you
really
gotta-
have a lot
you
of
have to beat
health
Ludwig to get
because
to.
I don't know if you've seen it, but the rules were we only level strength, and we get 1 point that we are allowed to put in HP for every death.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, and that's actually not that bad. So that like as you're leveling up, you count your deaths, and that's the amount of points that you can put into health. And
Yeah.
and then that also means that as you're playing better, you kind of need less health, anyways.
Yeah,
right?
but when you get to Cause, he kills you in like 2 hits, sometimes
Yeah,
1 hit.
so yeah.
I think we would have beaten him way earlier if we had like the normal amount of health that we normally have, so we can just actually just survive some of the onslaught attacks. But yeah, we didn't die a lot. That's actually true. It was
I die a lot when I'm playing Souls games. I can get through them, and I can usually get through them pretty sufficiently by the end of it.
Yeah.
Like I'm pretty great at Liza P right now because I've just
right.
almost 4 times. In fact, actually, yes, 4 times.
I mean,
4
Mauler's
times
even
I've now
better
played
at Bloodborne. Like he played that game like probably thrice as much as I have. Like he knows that thing by heart. But
I think I've only done 2 full fresh runs of Bloodborne, but I've gone through New Game Plus twice with my original. Oh wait, not the original one, because I played through it, and then someone told me that if you go through it again, New Game Plus for the DLC is going to be next to impossible, and that's why I started a fresh run.
Yeah.
And then I played through that character twice, and I didn't find it too much more difficult than New Game Plus. So whoever said that actually kind of wasted me 50 hours, but it's Bloodborne, so
Yeah.
I had a good time.
Mootle
Even if I
falling
wanted
off
to
the
run better.
Mootle falling off the roof 10 times in a row from the exact same spot and hit and run was hilarious. Yeah, you were adamant you could make the jump and kept failing. Yes. I was like, I have to do it. I think I can do it. I didn't do it. Yeah. Yeah, good time. That was good times. Lots of drinks were had, even offline. We went axe throwing. That was fun stuff.
Yeah, love axe throwing. It's a lot of fun.
Watched a lot of movies. I rewatched The Killer over there as well, which made me like the movie even more.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
It's fun because I didn't even catch on the whole his demeanor changing and stuff like that. I just really liked it as just as an action movie and thriller or whatever you want to call it. And then I rewatched with Mauler, and he was like, "This
constantly unraveling. Like it's every single one of his systems is like slowly getting eroded over the course of the movie."
Because he's just it's like, oh, I just don't give a fuck, and then he just starts giving a fuck and stuff like that. It just made me like it even more. Like The Killer is a fantastic movie if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, it really is. Very good character
study. I really hope there's going to be a physical release of it because I really want a physical copy of that movie. It's really good.
I honestly think all Netflix needs to do to not ever have to increase their prices again and still make tons of money is just create a studio where they make their own to order 4K Blu-rays of their content, like of the Netflix original content.
That would be nice.
And then just print the discs as you're selling them, like to treat it like Teespring, but for DVDs, or like Blu-rays, I guess.
But considering so many companies are shutting down their physical departments these days, it's like, ugh.
But like, I mean, that's the thing. I think direct from source is probably going to be the best way for people to do it. Where it's just you don't buy your Blu-rays from Best Buy, you just get them directly from the company who makes the movie, and that also will let them do things like stupid special editions like video games have been doing for years, where they put a bunch of plastic crap in it and then charge you an extra $100. But which, I mean, I'm not going to buy for every single movie I like. But hey, there might be the odd movie here and there that are like, whatever, I'll get all the extra crap. I love that movie. It's amazing.
Yeah.
But I mean, I might get one of those things for like Cyberpunk Edge Runners. I thought that was incredible. Like Arcane's another one that I'd be like, I don't know. Like I definitely would at least want the physical disc of
I think the
show
biggest crime is still that Soma does not have a physical release at all. Like it's just it's only digital, and it's like, god damn it! I would buy like a $120 special edition of that game. It's so good. Like I just
Did you ever see? Did you see Moriarty's video on limited run games?
I think I did. That was
There's-
like 2 years ago or something, that video, right? I
Yeah,
feel like I've
it
seen
was
that.
a while
Yeah.
ago. I actually only saw it like recently, and one of my wife's best friends, who she's streaming with now, Carolyn, used to work for Limited Run, and I like immediately sent it to her. She's like, "Oh yeah, this video was actually going around the company at the time. It made them freak out." I was like, "Oh, that's pretty funny." But
Yeah.
what that video showed me watching it recently, and why I was like, "Man," I was like, there's a pretty big opportunity on the table for any person with the resources that wants to start the company to compete with limited run games and do their idea, but actually, whereas you make the runs limited, you make them high quality, and you just have it be like, okay, yeah, these are up for sale for now, and once they're gone, and then we're not doing those again unless we decide to do a reprint some other time. Whereas limited run is basically, at least as far as Moriarty's account is concerned, and it seemed like he backed it up quite well. Moriarty, EFAP guest, the one with the MRX. I always forget how to spell his name. Oh, just M? Okay.
I mean, I
Yeah,
always
only
call
M.
him. I still call him M.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
I mean, like I can say Moriarty, like it's an easy enough name to say. It's just it's
Oh,
hard
yeah,
to
yeah.
spell if you're remembering.
He changed
what
that at
order
some
the
point. It
X
was really
is.
confusing at first. Like, what are you trying to do? I was like, oh, still Moriarty, but it's just with weird numbers and stuff. It's like, okay, fair enough.
Yeah. But anyway, his account of it though made it seem like effectively what they were trying to do is just become a game publisher. They were just doing it under the guise of, hey, we're going to preserve these games by releasing them physically in limited quantities, when they seem to have been moving more and more in the direction of, we just want to be the people publishing the games flat out. We'll make any accommodations to accommodations which will fly in the face of preservation in order to make that happen, like releasing Scott Pilgrim without two of the bonus characters that were DLC characters. So it's like, you can't get the DLC on this physical disc, but this is a limited run print that you're just releasing now. Why isn't it content complete?
Yeah.
And lots of other stuff that goes into more detail, so I'd recommend checking that video out.
Absolutely.
But I think that if there is a company who wants to say, hey, we're just going to find games that just have a digital release, contact the company and be like, hey, we'd like to do a run of 2,000 like Blu-ray copies of this, or 1,000 copies that are on 4 Blu-ray discs, 4K Blu-ray discs, because the games are getting gigantic. But I think that there's a lot of indie developers that I'm sure, if it again could be the same kind of system I was talking about with Netflix, where it's like made to order as opposed to, here's a big quantity we're getting of them now, and if you don't buy it, then that's that. Just no, we have a system in place where we can print the disc, we can print the art on the disc, we can print the cover, we can get it all together, all with a machine where we press one button and say print copy of Soma, and anyone who orders one can get whatever they want, and we ship them out through Amazon affiliate stuff. Like, I mean, there's ways that you could do that, I'm sure, to make it so that you could get a pretty decent production line going. And because it seemed like the thing I thought I was buying limited runs games when I was buying them was that, hey, like they're the ones that are actually like going to put out a physical release of Castlevania Symphony of the Night or something like that, or Doom or Quake. And I'm just like, yeah, I think having a nice little physical version of those might be kind of cool. Like, if it comes with little plastic crap, why not? I love Quake. Quake's my favorite game ever. Sure, I will take the extra $50 spinny Quake quad damage thing, but also I don't need that really. So I don't think that all games should be coming out with big huge extravagant releases like that. But I think that if someone has the means to get a system like that going, and can get a decent enough relationship with the publishers so that they can let them do that and be like, here, you'll get most of the money for it. Basically, we're just getting this extra, say, $10 that we charge to make the physical game, and we keep $7 of that or something. Yeah, like, I mean, I feel like there's a way that it could work economically, and I'm amazed that not more companies are trying to go about physical media in a way that is creative, and that they'll be able to change the market, as opposed to just saying, yeah, we're going all digital now so that we can edit movies and things. And
I really don't like that. I mean, wasn't it the Ubisoft guy that recently said people need to get comfortable with not owning games anymore? Basically, it's like, motherfucker, how about you don't
And
say that?
I mean, like, dude, that exists now, and there's also, and generally people like when Xbox, for example, does their Game Pass thing, where you can subscribe to Game Pass, and all those games you do not own, you're effectively renting them, but you can play them
Hmm.
whenever you want. But also, you can buy all of those games, like like any one
Yeah.
of those games. If you want to just put them on your Microsoft account, if you play on Xbox, or I would recommend just buying it on Steam if you play on PC. But you can buy them like outright, not just rent access to them. So I
Hmm.
think that, and for a very long time, there's been a lot of I don't know, let's say game consumers that I've argued against over the internet, who will flat out say that you never ever have owned any game, even on disc, that when you buy the disc, you're just buying a license to play it. And I've always rejected that
That's
outright.
bullshit
I'm like,
because
no.
you have
I
all
was
the
like, that's
data
not correct.
on your disk. You can play without being online ever.
And where I think they've been, I guess you could say, Trojan horsing their actual argument, is that, well, what we mean is that even if you have the disc, if we want to say like ban you and make it so that your account can't even access the thing at all, we should be able to do that, and we should make it so that you do have to log into our server to make sure that you actually
Hmm.
own that. And there's people who are like, well, yeah, that'll stop those pirates from the game industry, when like piracy is not the thing that, and piracy is not a thing that puts even a dent in the video
Yeah.
game industry when it comes to sales.
Wasn't it
Like, because
Gaben that said at one time, it's like it's not a piracy problem, it's a
yeah,
availability or
service
service
problem.
problem or what it is.
Yeah,
It's like, yeah, yeah.
piracy is not is a service problem. If you give
It
people
always
the availability to, if you offer them a service that's better than what they're getting from the pirates, they'll pay money for the better service. So
yeah, I mean,
that's
am I gonna go out and pay $70 for a full priced game and still have microtransactions and this already experimenting with ads in those games, especially in those 2K24 NBA whatever the fuck games. I think I don't know if that actually went through, but I think they wanted to, and get that with ads and still microtransactions. Or do I go to a random piracy site, get it for free without ads and the full package that's working, possibly even modded by the community that it that it has all the patches and no problems anymore. Like,
no de
mm,
novo either, and like
yeah,
anti-tamper software too. The big thing that, oh, like, I know people that flat out will buy a game on Steam because they like the game and they want to support it, and then they will download and play a cracked copy
yeah,
just so it runs better.
yeah,
And I think that at that point, companies like Denuvo really, or companies who are paying Denuvo to implement their service, I should say, kind of need to look at themselves and be like, wait, hold on, are we crippling our games so that, like, we'll get an extra 5% in sales lifetime, maybe? Because I feel like 5% might even be generous, as like a dent piracy actually makes in total game sales. It hasn't seemed to hurt like a lot of video games out
mm,
there that make millions and millions of dollars. So I feel like the people who make the argument pirates are going to be what destroys the gaming industry, or you're not thinking it through. And you think way more people pirate video games than actually do.
yeah, yeah. Uh, yeah, because I'm trying to get physical copies of the things I like. Like I just every time I think of something I like, I just put it on my Amazon wish list. I'm just looking at it right now. I put Train to Busan on there. I was reminded of that. That was pretty,
Yeah.
because that's a really good movie. Uh, oh yeah, when I was over at Mahler's, we also watched all three Rush Hour movies again.
Oh,
Those
really?
movies are all three fucking hilarious.
Oh, really? I remember not liking the third one very much,
They
but
they
I saw
all
it in
really
theaters,
fun.
so I.
All three of them are very fun. You could not make those movies today. These
All
two,
right,
like Jackie Chan and Chris
I think I gotta
Tucker,
rewrite Rush Hour 3.
they are
All right, I
so
gotta rewatch
insensitive
Rush Hour
towards
3.
each other. It's glorious. It's fantastic.
Oh yeah, I
Their
mean,
dynamic is
that was
really
the
good.
joke.
Yeah.
Oh god, yeah, that was Jackie at his peak of entering American fame too. Like when it's just like,
Mhm.
oh yeah, Jackie Chan movies will make $100 million like in the opening day, no problem. And then yeah, we get told that no one wants to see Asian lead actors. I'm like, motherfucker. I was at opening day for Rush Hour 1, 2, and 3. Okay, I wasn't crazy about 3, but I don't think I was there specifically to see Chris Tucker. You know,
Yeah.
he's funny and all, but I really want to see Jackie Chan kicking ass and being funny.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty fun. Like they're really fun to watch. Good to see that because they're all three on Netflix, so you can watch them there. But I
Yeah,
also
nice.
you can get to. I have the trilogy on my wish list here as well. Uh, oh
Yeah,
yeah,
I
I
probably
watched.
have them on DVD at my parents' house.
Nice. Mahler showed me Firefly because I've never seen that before.
Oh,
Uh,
seriously?
and an extension, Serenity, the movie that kinda tries to ties it all
Yeah.
up as best as it can. And I get it
I
now.
thought it
I
did.
get the tragedy of Firefly now.
Yeah.
What a fucking crime that it's ended with one season.
Yeah,
Like
man. And yeah,
holy shit.
my bright and my glass half full that I used to look at back in let's say 2012, probably maybe 2011, was, yeah, you know what, Firefly was amazing. It's a shame it got canceled, but hey, Serenity came out. Serenity was a great movie, and now Joss Whedon's going over to like take on the Avengers. You know, like we got lots of great Whedon content ahead of us
Yeah.
for a long time. And now, if a movie gets announced, or like if I see a trailer that says, "Hey, the Avengers," I'm immediately just being like, "Okay, I don't care." Like, I'm just like, I don't even want to watch the trailers at this point.
Yeah. But no, like the crew in Firefly is just really cool. All of them have like different
Yeah,
outlooks on stuff. They talk about these things. They discuss
yeah. They
things that
disagree, and
happen. It gave me Star Trek vibes with like a crew with different characters that have their own ideologies, their own experiences, their own things they imagine how things should be, and they talk about it. But then in the end, Nathan Fillion is so good in this role. By the way, like
yeah,
just going from this quippy fun guy to no, now I'm in
dead serious.
now I'm in
Yeah,
serious captain mode. Like you need to shut the fuck up and actually do what I tell you. I was like, oh shit, that's how
well,
you
the
do it.
first,
That's how you
I
balance comedy and serious stuff. Like that's just how you fucking do it. It's really good.
And I think that what's really interesting is the role I saw Joss Whedon before, not Joss Whedon, in a Joss Whedon show, but that I saw Nathan Fillion in before Firefly was, I will not spoil too much, but at some point he is a villain in Buffy. I won't say if he's a villain in an episode or
Okay.
what, but he plays a villain in Buffy at one time, and he's horrifying. Like he's very scary in
Yeah.
Buffy. So when I saw he's the quippy captain on the new space show that they're making, I was like, I don't know how that's gonna work. Then I watched it, I was like, oh, this guy's just a great actor. He can kind of play anything. He can be
Yeah.
horrifying and scary and oh god, man, I can't even I can't, I gotta not ruin Buffy for you, so I can't really say anything about
Yeah.
it. But let's just say he's a freaky villain, and then becomes just, you know, the most wholesome kind of like captain dude. He's quipping with his family, but which is basically his crew is his family at that point. But then if he needs to get scary on them, he can turn on a dime, and he does it really well.
Yeah. Hey, I've known Mauler for 10 years now. I sure sometime in the next 10 years he's going to show me Buffy finally. I'm
Yeah,
sure it's
well,
going to
yeah.
happen.
Hey, he got you through Firefly. That one's easy.
Yeah, it was
because
one.
it's short.
It's one season, yeah. But yeah, that was pretty good. Serenity is just a pretty nice little movie about choices, basically, because like the whole thing with the planet that got wiped out because they're trying to get people to not do any bad things anymore, and it's just a whole thing about freedom of choice, if you put it really shortly. But yeah, pretty good stuff. I'm very happy I've seen it, and I'm very sad there's not more of it. But yeah, I've been upping my media diet while I was over there. I watched a lot of good stuff. I've seen Unforgiven for the very first time.
Yeah.
That movie
Great
is
movie.
fucking fantastic. What a
Yep.
great fucking, like probably the quintessential deconstruction movie out there.
It's honestly, it's the best movie about post-traumatic stress I've ever seen. Like I recently watched it too, and I think I just because like had that read of it, I guess, because I think the first time I saw it was like 1992, and I was a little kid. But
Yeah.
but then rewatched it, it was like, oh man, this is actually probably the best story about
It's
what
so
it means to actually see the brutal things that you would see in the life of an old west outlaw, because I mean they're similar to the kind of things you see in war, right? Like death and
Yeah, yeah.
knowing that you're responsible for the death being its own special kind of post-traumatic stress that you're never going to be able to get rid of, because there's a strong element of guilt attached to it, and you know that it's your fault, which is why I think, and the line in that movie that I guess not line, it's an exchange of dialogue right at the end. I'll see you in hell, John Money. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I love that.
Yeah.
He's just like, yep.
It makes it
That's
even
yeah, that's
better
where
when
I'll
you
be.
know that Clint Eastwood was like, yeah, we had the script for like 10 years, but I wanted to be older to actually pull it off. It's like, what a
Yeah.
fucking legend, dude. It's fun because I'm not really knowledgeable about Clint Eastwood movies. Like, I was never really big into Western, which I kind of want to do at some point. I think it would be fun going back and watching all those. But I always
Yeah,
knew,
we should do
like,
a Man with No
Clint,
Name trilogy arc.
because I always knew Clint Eastwood, he always played the badass Western guy. Like, he shot everybody and stuff. And the first thing you see him here in is in the mud with the pigs, old, decrepit, and it's like, ugh,
Trying to
sucks.
take care of 2 kids with no wife.
Yeah, I was like, damn, I think I know what we're doing here. It's very, very good. If you haven't seen it, if you're a dumbass like me and haven't seen it before, go watch it. It's really, really good. That's
It's
also
you
all on
get
my list of the thing.
if you watch the Man with No Name trilogy, a Fistful of Dollars, Few Dollars
Hmm.
More, and The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, watching that and then watching Unforgiven is pretty wild because you
Yeah, I can
can
imagine.
very easily kind of see the Man with No Name as just being John Money. It's just they don't actually say it at any point, and like because then when you watch Unforgiven, it's like maybe yeah, if this guy did grow old and stop drinking and had a
Yeah,
family and that maybe this is what he would be like because you know you can only be a hard drinking outlaw for so much of your life before
yeah,
you're either dead or you give it up and you move on and do something else. Otherwise, you end up dead because you'll
yeah.
eventually one of your crimes will eventually go poorly.
Absolutely, yeah. And then one thing, what else was there that I remember? Oh yeah, Hot Rod. Uh, that's a really cool comedy movie with Andy Samberg. Uh, really fun. Have you seen that one?
Sorry, which one was it?
Hot Rod.
Hot Rod. No, I've not actually. I
I
do
would
remember it though.
very much recommend it. It's
Huh.
really fun. It's like from what year is it from?
Late '90s, maybe. Yeah, late '90s, early 2000s. The way I'm
It's
remembering it.
2000 something. Someone in chat's probably gonna know.
I feel like it was out when I was in high school, but I'm not 100% on that. But I remember people talking about it in high school, and I don't know if it
2007.
was just okay. Yeah, so yeah, actually
Yeah,
that was the end of
2007. It's like one
university,
of
so
the
it must have been
last comedy movies of its kind. I feel like from back in the day. It goes like with the root like dodgeball or shit like that. It kind of reminds
yeah.
you comedy wise of that. I think. Uh,
My
really
favorite of
fun.
that
Has
era was
Winston from John Wick in it, and he's
oh
really
right
fucking
on.
funny. He's the stepdad, I think he was, and he's hilarious.
Yeah,
He's
he
really
plays a good old west outlaw in Deadwood too.
oh,
Ian
there you
McShane,
go.
right? Yeah.
But yeah, I had a fucking blast watching that. That's a hilarious movie. It's really fun.
Yeah, that era had a lot of good comedies. I think my all-time favorite of that era of comedy, like the mid 2000s kind of raunchy comedies, was definitely Old School though. With
Hmm.
Todd Phillips movie. Funny enough, the director of Joker.
Oh, okay, nice.
And yeah, it's with Luke Wilson's the star of it, but it's also got Vince Vaughn and Will Ferrell, and yeah, it's pretty good. It's about a middle-aged guy who finds his wife cheating on him and buys a house that's just off campus of a university, and his friends convince him to just make it a fraternity, but it's a fraternity where you don't have to be going to the school. So like, it's mostly like old dudes who are bored and want to have some fun.
Nice. Good stuff. But yeah, that's stuff I've been watching over there. There's probably some more random stuff. Oh, we watched a bit of Red Dwarf. I think we watched like the first 2 seasons. I
Yeah, Red
think
Dwarf I've not seen. Doctor Who's probably the closest thing to Red Dwarf I've seen. I hear it's similar in the sense that it's a British sci-fi comedy that's both hilarious and smartly written. But I've not seen an
we
episode. How was it?
weren't super into it after the 2 seasons. We kind of went over to not Serenity Firefly at some point.
Yeah, it's
Thinking
hard
we
to
go
go
back
back.
to it after we finish the other things, but we just watched other random stuff. But the thing is, people say it goes up after like season 3 or starting season 3. So I don't know. Maybe we pick it back up when I'm back over there this year. I don't know. Uh,
I mean, yeah, with particularly British comedy shows, I find that sometimes does happen where there's like 1 or 2 seasons where they're kind of figuring things out, and then they get the rhythm and they figured out the characters and they've decided what they're going to focus on and can get going from there from like season 2 onward or
yeah.
3 onward.
What was sad is in season 3 they changed the person who plays the AI guy of the spaceship.
Mhm.
from to like another lady. I don't know any of their names, but he was like super fun. He was like perfect for that role, but apparently they had like differences, so he didn't. He only does like a couple of guest spots at some point. But he was my favorite. Then he was gone. I was like, oh, that sucks.
Yeah, that's always a shame. When
So yeah,
you
maybe
have a
we
favorite character on a show, you start the next season, it's like, oh, they're gone.
yeah maybe we go back to it when I'm over there again. But I don't know. We were just starting to watch other things at some point because we weren't super into it. Because last year, not last year, before COVID happened, whenever I was there last time, we watched all. He showed me all of IT Crowd for the first time, and that was
Oh, that's a great
all
show.
the way through is fucking fantastic. I
Yes.
got the box set now here because that series is really fucking funny.
For some reason, the line that always sticks out to me from IT Crowd, because I really didn't see it coming at all, is when the white dude goes up and finds the black guy in a club with a bunch of girls around him. He's like, "Are you having sex with that girl?" He's like, "Yeah, if you call that vicious rutting that we did last night sex, then sure." I was like, "What?" I was like, "What the hell?" Because I guess I'm not really doing it justice, everybody, but it's a shockingly nerdy dude who I'm talking about. Is that Richard
Yeah,
Adeoye? I think is his name. Yeah, he's a funny actor.
yeah, he's funny. He's fun.
Oh,
Uh,
he's in the new Fable game too. He was in that trailer with the character who everyone disliked.
oh, right. I forgot that exists.
Yeah. I mean, I think Microsoft might have too. We'll see. We'll see when we actually see gameplay from it. But
Yeah,
and they did a CGI trailer that bothered a lot of people, so it might
yeah.
go away again for 5 years.
Oh, but even before I went to Mutely, there was two other big things that were happening. One good, one very good, one very bad. Of course, I'm talking about one Rebel Moon. Oh boy, that was a fucking
I still
tragedy.
have not seen it.
Good, keep it that way. It's not worth your
Yeah,
time. Or if you want to spend even
that's
more
pretty good
time,
news.
I think that extended cut is going to come out very soon. Uh,
I mean, I suppose because people are saying, "Oh yeah, that's the R-rated one that's actually going to put like the story makes
whatever.
sense." If I'm ever going to watch it, I'll probably just wait on that one at this point. I'm like, well, why?
Rebel
If I'm
Moon.
going to watch this, why would I bother watching the version that everyone says is
Yeah.
rushed and nearly incoherent? I'm like,
Someone on
okay, well,
Twitter said, I don't remember who it was. Maybe someone in general remembers. It's Rebel Moon feels like the slowest rushed film ever, like in its
oh god.
pacing. So many things are happening while nothing is happening. Uh, I didn't take any notes for it or anything. It's just
I mean, it
it's
almost
very
sounds like
empty. It's a
almost the
very
exact description of Disney Plus Star Wars shows at the same
It's a
time.
very
It's like,
empty movie. They have all these characters. I don't know what any of them want or mean. Like this is the main protagonist. She's like on this planet trying to escape from the big empire or whatever. And then she's like, "Oh, the empire's here. I'm gonna ditch you all. Yeah, but we're family. Yeah, but they're all gonna kill us." And then she walks away, but sees someone almost raping a lady, and it's like, "Okay, now I'm gonna fight the empire." Instead of just helping the lady and then fucking off. For some reason, that's the thing that makes her go, "I'm gonna build an army, and now I'm gonna need to go through the planetary systems and find these 5 people or 4 or whoever it were." And obviously they all join basically immediately. Like she grabs them all in like 15, 20 minutes.
okay.
And then they have one fight, then another fight, and then the movie is over. I feel like that's all that happened with lots of stuff
So,
in between.
all right. Yeah. So I guess what I gather from that is that the writers of this film, be it Zack Snyder or whoever else wrote it,
Oh, that's all Zack
probably
Snyder. That's the thing. It's that was like the whole thing. It's like this is all Zack Snyder. This is all him. This is all what he has
his vision.
this is his vision. And everything is done so far where he had his full vision was all piss.
Oh, I just realized what's going to happen though. The next time Snyder has a project, everyone's just going to be blaming Full Moon on the fact that it's like, yeah, that's what happens though when Snyder was trying to make a Star Wars movie and then he had to refit it into something that wasn't Star Wars. So, he was kind of handicapped there. He wasn't really allowed to be totally free, even though he was the sole writer and director on the movie. Like, yeah, the Snyder fans will they'll defend anything. But I guess though that the idea of essay, I don't know, like YouTube doesn't let us say the words, or grape, which I think is so silly. I actually prefer essay because at least it's an acronym for S assault.
Oh,
But
okay.
anyways, but that is it's a very easy way to get someone motivated, because it's like, I mean, at least in my eyes, it's probably the most horrible thing that can happen to a person aside from full-blown torture. And I would say actually worse than killing someone, because if you kill them, they're dead, and if you just take away their personal sovereignty in a way that's like as intimate as that would be, then they have to live with that their entire life, and you're kind of doing something worse to them. So
Oh, you can
motivate.
definitely make that work. For
Yeah, I
sure.
think the thing is though, it's incompatible scales, because
Yes.
yeah, that would make you want to kill the guy doing the act for sure. Maybe kill the people who put him up to it, if it goes any deeper than that. But if you're talking about like an empire, you're deciding whether or not you're going to declare war on an intergalactic empire.
Yeah, and the whole thing is
because
she was
you
part
witnessed
of that
an
empire as
essay.
like a big general, and she fled and is basically a traitor. So the reason she wants to fuck off is she knows how brutal and fucked up they are. Of course, they're all just comically evil, like every single one of them. Like the whole empire is like all evil. They're all like, we're so evil.
They were all comically evil. She knew they were all comically evil, but
Yes.
she didn't think that any of them would ever be disrespecting a woman or something. Like,
Yeah,
is
it's fucking
is that actually
stupid. It's
the deal?
horrible.
Because yeah, I mean, like lots of people in armies who are good guys for the most part have the odd person here and there who is like, you know, a predator, right?
Yeah,
So,
they make it
I
the
mean,
other way around in the show. There's one guy who tries to help the lady, and you would think he would join her on the way, like going around the planets, but he's just gone after the intro sequence. He helped, and I guess he's just chilling on that planet now until they come back, I think. But there's a lot of weird choices in that movie, and a lot of slow motion. Like it's lots of slow motion.
Well, that's not shocking. And like, what kills me is that used to be a thing Zack Snyder did that I liked. Like, I thought in 300 it actually worked very well to be like, hey, here's like a moment where it kind of looks almost exactly like it does in a comic book frame, and things are
Yeah.
moving so slow that it's almost still. That can work if you do it once in one movie where you're specifically trying to make a graphic novel adaptation that kind of looks like you're just watching the graphic novel play out.
Right.
But you can't do that every time in every movie.
Yeah. But yeah, this has like all the slow mo. It's also blurry, like you know from Zack Snyder now. So there you go. I don't know why you want to make that your staple, having everything blurry.
Actually, that's actually probably the reason I didn't watch it, because I just saw trailers of Army of the Dead, and it was actually bothering my vision. And so I didn't watch that one.
I mean, Rags
And,
keeps
I
saying
really
it
hated-
when it comes up, when we did the EFAP movies on it. Like, he had to look away from the screen because he got a headache and just to
yeah,
look somewhere where
like,
it's not blurry, which is like, yeah, I get it.
that was actually happening to me at the last scene of the Snyder Cut, or the one that I mean the Snyder Cut of the actual Justice League movie, like the one that is referred to as the Snyder Cut, not just Snyder making any film, which apparently I guess technically they're Snyder Cuts, I suppose. But the flashback scene, or like the you know, apocalypse scene where Joker's in it and he's got the long hair and he's
Right.
using this super narrow focus lens where things are in focus for like, I don't know, like a degree, and then he moves the camera a little bit, then they go out of focus and moves it. I'm just like, dude, what are you doing? Like, you've been making films long enough to know that this does not look good, right? Like, how can I notice that and you don't? I only made one movie ever and it doesn't look very good. I mean,
But at least it's not blurry.
yeah, I mean, like, it wasn't because I didn't want it to look good. It's because we were usually using portable battery-powered lights and shooting in
Right.
places where we didn't have permits. So it was just like, okay, let's get in there, choreograph this fight scene in 10 minutes, shoot it in half an hour, and try to get out of here before the cops show up.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
It's a bit of a different deal than I can do whatever I want with Netflix money.
Yeah. So yeah, that was awful. But fortunately, we got a little Crimbus surprise at the end of the year. Because we got the was it the PlayStation thingy that happened, or was it the Game Awards?
Yeah, and God of War, you're talking about
I'm talking about
the free DLC that came out.
I'm talking about God of
probably.
War Valhalla / Ragnarok
Yay.
Valhalla, whatever. It's just Valhalla is easier.
Yeah, the DLC that makes no sense for the best reasons.
It's insane. It's crazy. So you're just watching. Was it the Game Awards or was it the PlayStation
I think it
thingy?
was the Game Awards.
It was
I
Game
think it was
Awards.
actually like it was one of the first thing that happens at the Game Awards, or it might have even been one of the pre-show things that they did. Because
Yeah.
I didn't watch the whole Game Awards. I basically just skipped through it to kind of
Oh, I just
see
watch
the
it the
things because
next day and see what the actually I don't
yeah,
even watch the Game
that's what
Awards.
I
I look
did.
I look at a summary, what the trailers are, and then I watch the ones that I might like. But I had like couple messages when I woke up the next day. It's like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Because of course they were like, oh look, there's Kratos. Like, ooh, everyone in the crowd's like, oh yeah, that's awesome because people really like this franchise. Even the new one, Jaffe. It's like, here's DLC. It's called Valhalla. Yeah, it's free.
David
Oh
Jaffe's
my
really
god, it
good
comes
about
out in
it.
4 days. What the fuck?
Yeah. Also, The Last of Us Part 2 has a very similar mode, and it's $10 and comes out in a month and has no story. Like, that's what blows my mind. It's like that they released the same mode in 2 games, essentially. They did a roguelike challenge mode for God of War Ragnarok and for The Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah.
God of War Ragnarok is loaded with very canon, very important storytelling stuff that especially if they do, which I think especially seeing Tyr's weapons by the end of it, which I mean we can go into later, but I think those are kind of hints at new enemy attacks we might be seeing in a new game, which leads me to believe, okay, we're probably going to let Atreus go off and do his own thing, maybe have a spin-off game with Angrboda, and we're going to be following Kratos in the mainline series with Mimir going to sort out the Aztec, Egyptian, and
Oh, it
Japanese,
can do
I guess,
so many
pantheons.
things. I'm so
Like,
hyped.
but yeah, so I'm just like, wow, this is it got me back into the idea of a third new God of War game being something I will actually be very excited for, as opposed to, okay, well, it's probably just going to be the Atreus game now. I wonder if they're going to get new writers for it. Is it going to just be a shooter because Atreus uses a bow? Like, there was all those questions, whereas that game kind of being what it was and hinting at what it's hinting at, I'm just like, no, they understand. They understand that Kratos is the star of this series and that you don't need to kill him or pass the torch or anything. Is that we can have Atreus come back at some point when he's like a full-grown adult and be awesome, and I'm sure that'll be great. But I think it's a good idea that they keep Kratos as the God of War dude, and it seems like that's what they're gonna do. But the idea that this was free, while The Last of Us 1 has 0 narrative elements at all in a story game, a game that, oh, you guys don't even understand how good this story is. Last of Us 2, it's the best story ever. Like, okay, well, are you going to give us some side stories with this roguelike mode and find a way to tell that in a way? No, it's just challenge mode. It's not free either.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I guess the God of War. How is Sony Santa Monica not everybody's favorite Sony studio at this point?
I mean,
like, are there people
I
who
mean,
still think
they
that
are
Naughty Dog is the
fucking.
best one?
They're top notch in my books. They have impeccable writing skills. They're very nice towards their community. It's like, here's some free DLC because their game was so fucking successful. And I think this was supposed to be in the main game at some point. I think I heard. But there was not enough time to finish it properly for this, so they released it free at the end, I guess. I don't know how true that is. That's just something I heard, so take it with a grain of salt.
I feel like if that's the case, they must have, like, because I mean the narrative clearly takes place after Ragnarok. So I mean, even if it was in the game, I'm willing to bet that the narrative elements they probably played around with afterwards, or maybe they were different. I don't know.
Yeah. So yeah,
I'm trying to think of how that would have worked if you put it in the middle of the game.
But for anyone who's not aware, so God of War Ragnarok Valhalla is an extra game mode that you can even play without playing the main story, but you should because it's right after and you get more story bits for what's happening after the main story. But if you wanted to, you could play it on its own. Like, you get reset to basically nothing. Like, everything gets stripped away, and then you have roguelite elements. You go through the thing, you unlock some extra stuff that I forgot what the points are called. Like, you get a currency, you can use that to upgrade your
mastery points.
Mastery points. You can put those in so you have more strength, health, blah 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 blah. The further you get, the more you unlock, and of course, you have chests. You open them, you get different skills and abilities every time, and then you can go
and
get a build.
Chest costs opening the chest costs the temporary currency as well too, that you do, because the mastery points you bring to the beginning of the next run and use it to give yourself permanent upgrades, but the fleeting echoes, I think they're called, or something like that, those are the ones that you only have during the run, and
Exactly,
you use them to unlock chests. But I think what's really crazy to create replay value is there's cosmetic items in expensive chests. So once you played the game and finished it, and you don't have to worry about creating a great build, it can just be like, okay, I just need to get to this level with this amount of fleeting echoes, or I think that's what they're called. I might be mixing
Yeah,
up a
fleeting
few
echoes,
things.
and then
Yeah,
you got some
and then
extra keys
you can unlock
buy and
this,
stuff.
yeah, new axe or new, I don't know, armor. And I think that's a really cool way to do that, because it's not just doing what The Last of Us is doing, which is just the only reason you play is to unlock cool T-shirts for Ellie to wear.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, great.
Hooray! And when you finish the this DLC or this game mode, in this game mode you unlock another rage mode, which is the Blade of Olympus. You get to use the Blade of Olympus, and which is really
I
cool.
lost my shit when that happened.
It's
too.
really
I was
fucking
like,
awesome.
What the hell? I was like, they were just putting the Olympus in this game.
And when you
like at that point, you've seen Helios too, so you know that they're doing some Greek mythology stuff.
And
but
when you finish the this game mode, you get to use it in New Game Plus in the main game, which is just really cool. It's like, yeah, awesome.
It's good too. It's a really good rage art.
Yeah, I don't know. Valhalla is really fucking good. The way they use stuff from the old games, like the original trilogy and even the PSP games.
Yeah.
They use things that we memed on when me and Mauler played the O's. It was like, oh, press X to abandoned child, and you even get an achievement. Like, you even get an achievement that's called Deadbeat.
That's the thing. I think it's
Dead.
It's the trophy that I think makes the scene as silly as it is. Because it's only when you get the deadbeat dad trophy that you chuckle at that moment, when really it's just like, no, it's Kratos being like, I want nothing more than to stay here with my daughter.
Yeah.
But I have to let her go or we're all dead.
And they use this,
even though,
and they use this silly shit in this thing to recontextualize. Like, no, the way you've been behaving is actually more complicated than you're just a raging crazy person. Because in this PSP game, you actually save Helios and almost kill yourself in order to save Olympus, basically. Not Olympus, but like Greek, right?
Because
Greece,
Morpheus takes out the sun at the beginning of Chains of Olympus, like in the second mission or something. And and then it's most of the game is about getting the sun back.
Yeah, and Tyr tells you, it's like, hey, you saved Helios and the sun, and therefore all these people. Like, there's something in you that actually gives a shit. And always has. It's like, oh fuck. Like they use these silly games that are kind of like these clown scenes as well sometimes, and it's like they recontextualize them to make them really fucking meaningful. It's man, it's mind-boggling. You can make it happen. You can. Good writing still exists if you give a shit.
The first sacrifice too, the first puzzle that you have at the end of at the end of the first story segment, I guess you could say, because it's not really mission. At the end of the first story run, narrative run, there's a puzzle in which it's referencing a puzzle in God of War 1, where you have to put just a random person into this cage, and then they get sacrificed, and that opens the door. And very much in that game, it was like Kratos is just such a badass. He'll like grab a random dude, doesn't care about, he'll throw him and just sacrifice him to get on his way, because people don't really mean that much to him. And what he has to do, basically, you find out that moment has actually been haunting him until now. And he's clearly thought about it a lot, because everything that's happening in Valhalla is not just derived from the place Valhalla, but from Kratos' mind and his memories and his subconscious. So like them saying that him putting that person in the cage and burning them to sacrifice them to open the door or whatever, I forget exactly what the nature of the puzzle was. I do remember it well though, because it hasn't even been that long since I played the first one.
Right.
And then the way he resolves it, I think, is kind of poignant as well. That it's like, what could you have done differently in this situation? And I guess the thing that I don't know. Are we going full spoilers on Valhalla? I guess we've already.
Oh yeah, go. I mean, we already go nuts.
The thing that he realized is probably sacrificing himself would have been the thing to do, because surprise, he lives through it. Like he's one of the kind of dudes who can survive living through being like burned alive for a moment or two. And like I mean, and he goes in there, goes through the pain of it, and feels what that person felt like. Understands that he didn't necessarily have to make that choice, but he made the choice that he made in order to progress in his quest, which was to defeat Ares to save Greece. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, yeah, you're right. He sacrificed it, dude. But why did he do it? Did he do it for fun?
Yeah.
Or was he in the middle of something and that was an obstacle that he didn't think of another way to pass? Because at the time he didn't really have an idea of what exactly he was.
There was a guy in Wallace's chat that insisted that that DLC used God of War 3 stuff only and makes the DLC hollow. Like what? That's not even true. There's like,
I mean, yeah, no, that isn't.
There's enemies in there that are from the game, and then they use enemies that are in the God of War things, but they give them completely new movesets, so they work for this game. Because if you just do them the way like before, it just wouldn't work. And also, being in Kratos' mind, that's like the that's like the best way to actually be like, yeah, we can use stuff from the old games. That's how you get the Minotaurs and the Cyclopses and the Sirens.
Yeah.
Because
you
of course
you don't have to explain they were wiped out, so why are they even alive? Never mind here.
Yeah, exactly. Like if there's some kind of key jangling if you want to call it that, that's probably the best kind. Because you have a good explanation and it's not interrupting your story in any weird way.
Well, and also they've held on to this card. You know, like the only time they played it at all really was in God of War 2018 when there was the segment where he needs to go to oh god, what's the name of hell? Helheim? Hell, is it? Yeah, it's just hell.
Yeah, Helheim.
The ice place. He needs to go to the ice place, and his ice axe isn't going to be very good there. So he realizes the weapon he needs to go get. And everyone who's played the God of War trilogy is like, no way.
That's
like,
dude.
And then you see Athena in the boat, and it's like, oh man, they're doing it.
The reason why this is
the
so
only time
good
they
as
did it.
well, not only because you know as a fan of God of War what's gonna happen. If you never played a God of War before, the game already does a good job. It's like, yeah, there was something in his past that has been going on. There's like something happening, and there's probably something he can tap into, or something he can get, or there's something in his past he doesn't want to talk about, but he can probably get a hold of. And then when you go back and when you know what's gonna happen, it's like, oh fuck, it's happening. Because they take, like, if you play the game for the first time, that's like 15 hours in or something. Like, they take their time.
You spend a lot of the game with nothing but the Leviathan axe. It is completely reasonable to be thinking that is the weapon
That's the weapon
in
of
this
the game. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And then the sequence happens, like, holy shit, it's so fucking good, man. Like, just thinking about it gives me a little bit goosebumps, I'm not gonna lie. It's just so good, man.
Game design wise too, like incredible to introduce because that was also a thing with God of War weapons, except for maybe Ascension, maybe a little bit of 3, but in God of War 1 and 2, I rarely, if ever, used anything other than the blades of Chaos or blades of Athena, whichever one they are in that particular game, because they're the best weapon. They just are kind of the most fun to use, and you can do combos at long range. You do a lot of great damage at short range. And even though it's like, well, we've got a big heavy sword though that does really, really heavy damage at close range, it's like, is it doing that much more damage than my fully upgraded Blades of Chaos though? Because now I got to spend red orbs on this to upgrade it. So you would often not want to use the secondary weapons. But in this one, they're just like, let's pretend the Blades of Sparta or whatever you want to call them. Like, I guess they do call them Blades of Chaos again, even though they should be the Blades of Exile at this point, because that's the one he has at the end of God of War 3.
Right.
But that was something that has always bothered me. I'm just like, wait, you guys, like, I mean, you played the games, right? But anyways, I think that getting you very comfortable with the Leviathan axe, thinking of that as the primary weapon for as long as you do in that game, I think is the thing that really makes the combo system that unlocks once you can switch between the Leviathan and the blades at any time. It makes that so rewarding, because you're just like, wow, now I'm God of War 2018 Kratos, but I'm also Greek Kratos, and I can do combos that are combining moves that I knew from the original, even though the controls are a little bit different. They kind of work the same, And
Yeah.
some of the Tartarus Rage combos and things like that, they're identical to what they are in the old games.
Yeah, and
So
some of the moves
it's one of those.
get moved to the skills or the abilities that you can find. So you get some of those.
Yeah, and honestly, like if I have one complaint about the new God of War game's design, it's that I don't think the camera accommodates the Blades of Chaos nearly as well.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
and once you enter those into the equation, you got to kind of start, is the cinematic directly over the shoulder camera being the necessite way to view this game the best way to play it? And I kind of feel like if they did a system where you had an option to hit select or something to just switch to a more wide
Yeah, let me
that,
pull
like
the
even if
camera
it's
back
just
or something.
up a little bit and make it like Soul style, right? Like I mean that the Soul's field of view I think is a pretty decent one. Like you can see most of what you need to see in order to not die if you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Where and the evidence I'll use from God of War itself, like from the games as the criticism, is if they didn't agree that that was the case, or they said no, we want that to be the case because we want you to constantly having to be look around and be afraid of what's behind you, then they wouldn't give me an enemy indicator, like the little radials with the danger indicator too that like turn red. I was like, they would not have that, they would not need that at all if the camera was pulled out a little bit further. And the fact that they're giving me that information means that they're kind of acknowledging that the game would probably be a bit better if the camera was pulled out a little. And
the age-old
honestly my
problem
only
of
complaint
camera.
about
Yeah, it's just...
well, it's the thing that makes it tricky when people say, "Oh, God of War is just another like Sony snowy movie game, like hallway simulator, and the combat sucks." I'm just like, it doesn't though. Like the combat is actually really good. It's just there's one critical thing that makes it not one of the better character action games, and it has the Last of Us camera when it could really use the Devil May Cry 5 camera.
Yeah.
Not that that one's perfect either, but like I can see the things I need to see in Devil May Cry 5.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. But yeah, God of War Valhalla, very good. Because the overall story in Valhalla is Kratos gets basically the position of God of War presented to him. It's like, hey, we want you to be the God of War. We need someone with experience. You have all the experience. But Kratos is like, I had that before and didn't go so good. I'm not sure if I wanna. And while you go through these different runs in Valhalla, you get like dialogue with Tyr, and you get dialogue with Mimir, and you even get dialogue with Freya when you get yeeted out of Valhalla. It's like, hey, what's going on? It's like, I need to go.
The Valkyries there. There's even sub dialogue too. Like you can talk to the one that Mimir's sweet on.
Yeah.
And like, and get some like, kind of details about their relationship and how that might work going forward. I'm just like, well, does Kratos just go there and carry him around, or does she carry him? It would be really funny. I'm thinking about Mimir dating a Valkyrie right now, for those who don't know what I'm talking about. He's just ahead for those who haven't played the game.
Yeah. Also, it just reinforces that Mimir and Kratos are just bros. It's just really great. I can't see them not be together anymore.
Mimir has to come back.
Mimir is such a fucking legend. He's so good. Like these two together, they're such bros. It's awesome. Helios. At some point, Mimir's head turns into Helios' head, and he trash talks you. And I think it's the same voice actor from back in the day, which is really cool. And he's really funny. It's like, I'm back. It's like, it's really cool.
I was sort of hoping TC Carson would pop up at the end, but no, the Sparta Kratos doesn't say anything. Sadly, I was like, oh god. I was like, if they do it and just be like, no, TC Carson's what he sounded like when he was younger, I would have lost my shit. I'd be like, oh, that's amazing. They finally threw the guy a bone.
Right.
But like, I mean, what kills me though is I love Christopher Judge, so it's like I feel sorry for TC Carson because he was the voice of Kratos for so long, and then they just kind of recast him and apparently did the Hideo Kojima thing where they just didn't tell him. Like he had to find out they were making another God of War game and that nobody called him, and he was like, oh man, like that hurts. But at the same time, it's like, oh, but Judge is pretty fantastic though. So I thought that it would have been a cool thing to do if they had the memory of old Kratos. Not old, sorry, of Sparta Kratos, like the Greek mythology Kratos. If he had the old Kratos voice, I would have loved that. I would have thought that would have been really great. Nitpick though.
That would be really cool. I agree. It's just he's just thinking about the stuff. And Tyr helps him because he was the God of War back in the day, and so he just kind of helps him through the whole thing. Which basically means you have to fight him 4 times with different
Yeah.
while he has different weapons. It's all different fights. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and and I feel like those fights are giving us glimpses at enemy attacks from the upcoming game. Like that is all I could think when I saw him pull those weapons and saw that they were actually new attacks. It wasn't just, oh, he has a new sword, but he's doing the same attacks as the knight guy or something like that, or like the berserkers that you fight. It was like, no, that's new stuff, and that's a weapon that has not been in this franchise at all ever. So keep it coming.
It was a therapy session game. I mean, it kind of was, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, like that was Greg Miller's like point about it too. I reposted one of his tweets where he was basically saying The Last of Us roguelike mode's better because it's pure gameplay, and God of War was just therapy simulator. And I was just like,
no, it's like, therapy simulator with all of the gameplay.
I was like, motherfucker, you can't expect me to believe that if The Last of Us's roguelike mode had Ellie in literal therapy talking about the events of The Last of Us Part 2, that you wouldn't be soy-facing your ass off over it. Like, get out of here. I know that that's not what you think. You fucking chill.
Yeah.
I try not to get that mad at like video game journalists because I know that a lot of them are.
Oh, no one's gonna be mad at you for being mad at journalists, I think.
I feel like a lot of them though are maybe just like kind of a similar situation to a YouTube video game journalist who recently got a role in a video game. I've been streaming a lot lately, but the idea of they're just miscast more than they're actually like like malicious people. But I think Greg Miller is one of those guys that I think is actually kind of a malicious dude. Like he will flat out lie to make himself money and to keep his industry connections intact. And he does it in a way that it's clear that he is. And for some reason, people cheer him on for it. And because he has this mentality of a WWE heel. Particularly, you notice he'll post a lot about like, oh, PC gamers are all retarded, because they can't figure out how to use a controller, and he's doing that stuff to troll very clearly.
Right.
But there's also a lot of people who cheer him on for takes like that, and then saying, oh yeah, or just therapy simulator, yeah. But he's also the guy that was the famous person who, when analyzing on the IGN Last of Us spoiler cast, he was the one who, when they got to talking about the ending, was like, I got to the end and I'm like, I'm the bad guy? Oh my God, I've been the bad guy this whole time? And even then I was like, that's a retarded way to read Joel. Like that, it really is. It's like, I mean, like to say that, oh man, like we might have been the reason why The Cure didn't get made. It's like, yeah, okay, but is he the bad guy in that scenario? Like, did you watch this scenario? Like, what led up to all that? Or are you just saying, oh, well, he sacrificed the world, therefore bad? And like, I don't know, it's just loudmouth dudes that just throw out brain dead takes and then have legions of normie gamers who I honestly think most of them just don't know much better because their access to behind the scenes of video games, like video game analysis, is the mainstream site. So they only see fluffy stuff like IGN and Kind of Funny and those things. Like I don't really blame them for then seal clapping for it because he's supposed to be an authority, but I think he's actually a figure who goes out of his way to make this industry worse. Like, and I'm not saying that lightly.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Sounds like a great guy.
Terrible. But anyways, yeah. So he was ragging on the fact that God of War Valhalla is a therapy simulator, therefore bad. And I just couldn't think. I was like, what better way is there to do a character investigation in a limited format that you're not blowing out your budget and telling a full new story than to have the person be introspective?
Yeah.
Like you're out of your mind if you don't think that's a valid storytelling mechanism. It's literally the guy thinking about himself, about his actions and his memories and what they mean. Yeah. It's like that's great stuff for storytelling. That's not bad. Why would you be ragging on that for that being the thing Santa Monica put out for free? Because you want to defend Last of Us's $10 upgrade. That's why.
I think it's only an upgrade when you have the digital version. So if you have physical, you don't even get that upgrade for $10.
I guess also disclosure, Colin Moriarty, who Greg Miller had that falling out with, did once interview me about my leg before I did any video game media stuff. So maybe I'm a bit biased against Greg. I'll throw that out there now. But also, man, that I don't often interact with the guy at all, but that tweet just infuriated me. I was like, you're actually telling people that The Last of Us roguelike mode's better than Valhalla because it costs $10 and has no story
Because it has less to offer.
at a higher price.
I mean, this is better because it has less to offer and it's also
higher price
$10.
because you can't multiply by 0. So you can't even say how much more expensive The Last of Us, whatever it's called, is over God of War Valhalla, because God of War Valhalla costs 0.
Yeah.
Like, oh man.
That's $5. That's Naughty Dog for you, yeah. Also, yeah, thanks Sony for doing that instead of giving me a fucking Bloodborne 60 FPS. Bastards.
Yeah. I like there has to be something going on there, right? Like
I don't know. I don't even know anymore. It just feels like
maybe there's some kind of publishing thing going on with Bandai Namco. Because it is a bit odd that basically every other Souls game since Demon Souls was Bandai Namco, and then they went back for another one. So I'm thinking maybe there's some publishing issue that's a reason why they can't just re-release the game. But because do you know who Lance McDonald is?
Oh yeah, he did the FPS mod where you have to crack your PlayStation or something.
Yeah, so you basically need to mod the PlayStation so that you can get into the developer end of it and basically just allow mods on a PS4 or a PS4 Pro actually is where you can do the 60 FPS mode. And I've been following him on Twitter for a while. I think he's Man Fight Dragon on Twitter, and he's been like adamant about the fact he's like, guys, it's one line of code that makes the frame pacing terrible, and it doesn't need to be locked. Like he's like, it's literally like I changed one line and it's just like perfect 60 FPS. I don't know why they won't do it. And like that, it's one that I'm kind of a doomer about. Like,
that sounds like they could just patch it. They don't even need to re-release it. Just do a patch.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, it just gets me to think that they're not doing it for a reason. I just have no idea what that reason is. So anything I said about like Bandai Namco and stuff, that is me speculating on what it possibly could be. Because I can't imagine it. So I'm just trying to think of reasons. But if it is that simple, and I mean, the guy has it running, like just go to his channel. You can see it.
I've seen it.
60 FPS.
I followed it when he was like, when this was all happening. I mean, this was like it's like 2 years ago when that happened, I think. So it's nothing new.
says too, now apparently on PS5 you can do a 1080p. So what he was doing was 720p Bloodborne FPS on a PS5, PS4 Pro, but now apparently you can get it up to 1080p on a PS5. So,
God damn it.
I mean, like, yeah, you know what? Like, if they do release a PS5 Pro, oh no, you're gonna want to sell this one though. God damn it! I don't want to have to own consoles anymore, honestly. And not because I don't like using them or anything like that, just because I don't like having to use more than one device. My PC is the one that runs everything the best.
I think the reason I will keep buying at least one of those consoles is so I can get the physical copies for them at least.
Yeah, I mean, that might be worthwhile. GOG though is a place I would recommend shopping because you can just make your own physical copies.
That's
with
true.
Those purchases.
That's where I got
Silent Hill. Want a physical copy of the latest patch of Baldur's Gate 3? I can make one for you in 10 minutes.
That's where I got Silent Hill 4 off for Halloween, which I didn't finish.
As long as they don't shut down the GOG servers before you have downloaded it once and put it physically somewhere, then it's yours forever.
Also, I don't think Silent Hill 4 is very good. But I don't think that's anything controversial to say.
Yeah, I mean, no, it isn't controversial. I actually think 3 was peak Silent Hill. I know a lot of people will say 2. I kind of prefer 3, but not like dramatically. You know what it is though? Like a lot of people will say, "Oh, the story in 2 is better." I was like, story's not really the thing in Silent Hill though. It's more the atmosphere and
I like
how the mystery unfolds than like the details of the story itself. Like they're usually pretty simple in that respect. But it's more about the fear. But any game
I don't
you
care
have
about
on
all
GOG,
your bonuses on PS Plus. I just want to play Gundam EXVS. Oh, that's what I want to say to Nintendo all the time. Just let me buy the fucking old games, you pricks. Don't let me give me your stupid super subscription so I can play Ocarina of Time on your emulator that you probably got online yourself.
And I cannot modify it at all either. I got to play vanilla versions of your emulated games. Thank you.
Very cool.
I mean, like, it blows my mind that I can have a much better experience playing Super Mario Sunshine on Dolphin than I could possibly have on the now unavailable version that you could have bought for Switch.
Yeah. Also, because I'm
still. It was only out for like 6 months or something.
I'm still thinking about what I want to play before I go to Dragon's Dogma 1. And it's like, oh, how about I get one of these? Maybe I'll put a Zelda game in between. It's like, oh wait, they made some remasters for Zelda games on Switch. They can't be that expensive, right? It's like they're all $60.
Oh yeah, they're expensive. Yeah.
I went to the online shops like, yeah.
I played a fair amount of Skyward Sword. It's actually not too bad. The Switch version, I mean.
Oh, okay, nice. Yeah, so but
I didn't play it on. I never had a Wii, so that was new to me.
I fucking wish I would have thought about that way earlier. I would have bought a Wii just so I can get the games from the store before it went down, because as far as I remember, they were normally priced there, like reasonably priced.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, oh, let me go grab one of those. Maybe I'll play.
Not eShop, Virtual Console. That was it. Yeah. The eShop is what replaced the Virtual Console.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. Because maybe I'll play Link's Awakening that they remade in this new graphic, like cell. What was this? Is it cell shader graphics or something?
No, it's not cell shaded. It looks kind of like a 3D modeled top down game.
Yeah,
like,
that's
almost
like
Animal Crossing. It looks like Animal Crossing, but it's a Zelda game.
Although
someone sent me a native port of the Game Boy Color version of that game for PC, where the main thing that's changed is the entire map scrolls and it doesn't have like screens you walk across and then fade.
Oh, that's kind of cool. That's neat.
Yeah, it was a decompiled hack that someone did, but yeah, no, it's neat. There's cool stuff like that.
Oh,
that
that's $60. Oh, what about the HD Skyward's $60? Like, oh, cool. It's actually cheaper. It's $10 cheaper to just get the physical copy on Amazon than to buy it on the eShop, which is okay.
Yeah.
And Bayonetta 2 and 3 are both still $60. I was like, God damn it. I wanted to play those two games for a while, but I just don't want to. Bayonetta 2 is pretty old by now, and it's just.
Wait, Bayonetta 2 $60?
It's still $60, still full price, yeah.
What? Like,
Nintendo doesn't do sales or price reducing on their website.
I could have sworn though that the Switch version came. It was like Bayonetta 1 and 2, and they were both like 40. I didn't think they were ever that expensive. But I mean, I could be wrong.
You can get. I checked yesterday. It's €60 for that 1 and 2 pack, actually, for 1 and 2.
Oh, okay. Maybe, yeah, I might have been just looking at it.
But 2 by itself is also like full price. So.
Yeah. Okay, so you might as well get Bayonetta 1 then.
But yeah, it's
one you can get on Steam. Like you can play the original one on Steam.
I played that on Steam. I have that on Steam. But, I do have that on Steam,
yeah. 2 is very good. I didn't play a lot of 3, but I wasn't crazy about how the combat felt. It was it felt like they might have rushed that one out, and I don't really trust Platinum Games right now. Because even Kamiya has left Platinum Games. So when Platinum Games no longer has Shinji Mikami or Hideki Kamiya, it's kind of just a group of Japanese developers who may be like turning over and leaving and going to other companies all the time anyways. So I don't know, man. Like I think Nier Automata might have been Platinum Games raw, sadly, because I think that was after Bayonetta 2 and before 3. But hey, they re-released Wonderful 101, and that game is great. Made a video on it that's on Geeks and Gamers, and it is the favorite game of one Matthew Matosis.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah, the most legit of video game critics on YouTube.
Yeah. But yeah, Valhalla, very good. Go play it if you haven't already, because it's free when you have Ragnarok. You can't just play it by itself. But yeah, very good, very good.
It is free DLC, though does require a ownership of God of War Ragnarok.
Exactly.
However, if you played God of War Ragnarok on PlayStation and you're planning to pick up the PC version and you want to play some new content on there, you can launch Valhalla just from the menu. So you don't need a completed save to unlock it or anything.
Yeah, exactly.
It's something you can just play on a fresh copy.
They give you a warning when you click on it. It's like, oh, you probably want to play the main story first.
Yeah.
Because there's spoilers.
Off the bat, Freya isn't trying to kill you.
Right. Yeah. I got one more thing that Mauler and I actually randomly found on Netflix. Another movie that is called The Negotiator. It's with Samuel L. Jackson and Kevin Spacey. And it's
oh yeah, I remember that movie. I haven't seen it in a very long time.
We both didn't know about it. We watched it. It's pretty good. It's a really pretty cool idea. So basically, Samuel L. Jackson is a hostage negotiator, like a really good one. and someone is embezzling the police department's disability fund. And he and one of his friendos get pretty close to who it is, and then the friendo gets killed, and Samuel Jackson gets framed for it and the embezzlement, and he ends up taking hostages himself, with one of them he thinks is the culprit, or at least knows what it is, and then he kind of tries to make it work and try to figure out and force the information out of people. And Kevin Spacey is another hostage negotiator that has nothing to do with the case. Reason being, he's unbiased. Like, he doesn't know any of those people involved, so he can trust that he will actually give him the information he probably needs. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, didn't do that well back in the day, from what I understand. But I would recommend checking it out. It's a pretty cool movie. We really enjoyed it.
It's a pretty interesting concept when you have the idea of a hostage negotiator taking a hostage and needing to speak with another hostage negotiator, because he's like, I know all your tricks, motherfucker.
Yeah, because there's one other hostage
he didn't
negotiator
say that,
that's not even close to the level of the character of Samuel L. Jackson, and he just fucking wipes the floor with him. it's pretty fun. It's a pretty funny scene as well. Just a recommendation for everyone. It's pretty fun. It's on Netflix. You can go watch it. It's pretty neato. Pretty neato. Also, Kevin Spacey was still okay back then.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. You gotta kind of separate the art from the artist with Kevin Spacey, because he is in some pretty damn good movies.
He's a really good actor, man.
We can't throw Usual Suspects out with the bathwater. We need to keep out the bathwater, and we need to throw out the bathwater, keep Usual Suspects.
Yeah. But yeah, that's bit. Oh, I finished RoboCop Rogue City 2 days ago.
Yeah. Woo.
What a cool fucking game! I really enjoyed it. It's a bit janky here and there. To be honest, I can't really tell you how much sense the story makes anymore, because it took a big breaks in between, and I kind of forgot the beginnings.
I will say this, more sense than RoboCop 3 by a lot.
I've never seen 3. Actually, not sure if I've even seen 2 ever, but people always say 3 is basically...
Yeah, you should watch 2. 2's fun.
Yeah, I need to.
It's not as good as the original. The original is a much better movie than 2, but 2's pretty all right, man. It's written by Frank Miller, and it's directed by Irvin Kershner, who directed Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
And it's as brutal, I would say. I don't think they didn't wimp out on the violence at all in the second one. The script's just not quite as smart, but it tackles a similar issue that was tackled in actually the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, which was the prevalence of crime amongst youth. And so like one of the main antagonists in it is like a little kid, and it's pretty interesting how his arc pans out. That's all I'll say. The villain's very intimidating too.
Nice. Yeah, I need to check it out.
Abraham or something. Like, it's one of those guys that's got like a really rough looking face.
Yeah. But yeah, RoboCop Rogue City, pretty true to the RoboCop experience. You get to be a cop. You help some civilians with like some random stuff. You even have to. You don't have to as an optional thingy, but you can help one of the police officers in the departments with civilians coming in and have like complaints and stuff, or want to sue people or whatever. And you just can decide if you help them or if you say, you know what you're saying is not very reasonable. Stuff like that. You can give tickets when you're in the city, which is kind of funny.
Yeah. It's a structure that's almost similar in concept to like the Yakuza games, where it's an open world sort of, but it's just a district that you're kind of moving around. Like you've just got a block or two, or I mean it's bigger than a block, but you know it's not a massive Grand Theft Auto city. It's just here's your beat. Go around here, issue tickets, help people with crimes, try to accomplish some side quests, then go back to the station and you can do some more stuff there. And like, it's got a real, hey, like this isn't just action movie and it's RoboCop themed, or like run and gun shooter beginning to end. We try to make you feel like you're a RoboCop.
Yeah.
Like living the life of RoboCop.
You get to use the shooty bang gun. You have a little ability tree. Well, it's not even a tree, it's just more like perks, yeah. And yeah, it's pretty fun. The the snowball effect is pretty high. I played on extreme, which was the highest difficulty when I started. I think they added an even higher difficulty now and New Game Plus.
See, I went the opposite route. I started on hard, and then I thought I was dying too fast that it was like actually bothering me because I was like, wait, I'm supposed to be RoboCop. Why are these 9mm killing me in 3 hits? Like, this is kind of stupid. So I played on normal, and I found that the experience was a little more balanced. There were still areas where, like, I mean, the Ed 209 fights were still pretty rough. Like, you definitely have to think a lot, which, I mean, really, when I'm playing a shooter, that's kind of all I want. I want to be kept on my toes. But yeah, I found that hard just broke the immersion a little bit. It was actually a similar story with Spider-Man 2, where the difficulty I played on made it seem kind of ridiculous because I would be fighting just people in normal ass clothes as Spider-Man, and I'd have to punch them 30 times. I was like, if I was me, I would have to punch them less. Like especially if I've just got a running combo going, I will knock a person out in maximum 10 punches. Okay, like I think like that's giving myself a wide buffer too. I think I could probably do it in 5, in most cases 2 or 3, maybe 1, depending on how glass the guy's jaw is. But what I mean is, I'm Spider-Man, right? I'm supposed to be 8 times stronger than a normal human, or like be able to lift 8 times my body weight. Why am I punching like my arms are made out of paper? Like it's actually affecting the experience in a negative way, which is why, like, I don't know, there's an interesting thing that I've been thinking about which maybe a way which developers could make it clear which difficulty the game is actually designed around, and then saying, yeah, but if you want to make it harder, we left an option where we turned up a couple of these dials if you want.
I mean, unless they tell me otherwise, I always expect it to be normal.
Yeah, like you would think, but I mean, that's the thing. If you bring it to the Snowy effect, is one thing that Sony has made really, really certain is that the standard difficulty is easy as all hell in most of their games. So that's why playing Spider-Man 2, I was almost trained to be like, okay, I'm going to need to put it on hard, otherwise these enemies are never going to kill me. Like, I'm just not going to die ever, and it's not going to be an engaging gameplay experience. But when you just make the enemies bullet sponges, or I think in RoboCop, I actually kind of thought it was the opposite direction, because I thought I wasn't tanky enough. And I was like, wait, like, I'm RoboCop here. Why am I can't crouch, and this is what I would be doing if I was as spongy as I am at the beginning of this hard mode run. So why would RoboCop not crouch? Well, he doesn't have to crouch. He can just absorb the bullets. It's like, well, I'm not absorbing the bullets. I'm dying. I'm dying very quickly. Like,
I actually didn't have that problem.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Well, I've long said that you and Mal are both better at video games than I can get through them, but I have to think around them. I have to play them a lot and die a lot.
Because I think as soon as I realized I get more damage, I just maxed out my vitality tree first. Because I did the one that gives me more XP first. Then it's like, oh, I'm getting a bit more damage now. Do vitality. And because then you get more health packs. You go from 3 to 5 overall.
Yeah, and I mean,
you also just refill your HP. So if you go back a little bit and wait, your HP goes back to like 75%.
Oh, that's a perk that you have to get, though. Like your standard health only regenerates to like 20%.
Yeah. I mean, when I maxed out the vitality, you get that as well. And then
so what I'm talking about is I just played through the first mission and was like,
I know.
Like, hard mode, I'm really not feeling it because I just feel too spongy. But yeah, no, I'd imagine as you increase your healing abilities, that goes away a little bit less.
Yeah.
But can you switch it midstream? If you could, then maybe we will kind of get through a little bit of the game on normal and then just be like, okay, let's crank it up to hard once I can actually.
I mean, now you can do New Game Plus.
When I'm actually at a level that I can handle these things. Oh, they added it?
Yeah, they added New Game Plus now.
Oh, nice.
I haven't checked it out, but that's a thing you can do.
Well, perhaps I will take a trip back to Detroit.
But yeah, very cool game. Very nice.
Yeah. Peter Weller is the voice in it too, who is Batman in the movie that we Metals Forged about, the Dark Knight Returns.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Nice.
Same voice.
And just really quickly, I finished House of the Dragon yesterday. Finally, I did it. I watched it all.
Oh, you hadn't seen it?
No.
Man, yeah, I love House of the Dragon.
Good shit. I'm very excited for season 2. I don't know what episode 9 was about. That was a fucking mess of an episode.
Yeah. It really is.
It's funny because
is it 9 or 8?
It's 9. 9 is the one that's like really weird because I had 4 episodes left to watch. And then I watched 9. I was like, huh, that was kind of weird. But I want to see what's happening next. So I just watched it. And then after I was like, okay, let me Google Reddit episode 9. What the fuck's happening? And then it's like, oh, that's why it felt so weird. Because I didn't think about it immediately. I just wanted to see the next episode because I wanted to finish it.
I think the only way to really make it work is you gotta just kind of think that the end of that episode is not canon.
Yeah.
Because like there's no way you can like Rainey's after that. I was like, wait, what? But you just killed so many innocent people and didn't kill the people that you should have killed.
I had Aquaman flashbacks. Just fucking crashing through the floor and just kill everyone. I was like, what are you doing? I thought you wanted to be queen. Yeah, we killed everyone.
You were previously a character that we liked pretty much too.
That was really
there was
weird.
Nothing wrong with you until that moment.
Everyone understand that doesn't even happen in the books.
Well, I mean, that is never mentioned, at least in Fire and Blood. So Fire and Blood is a book that House of the Dragon's based on.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just written like a history book.
The things I read about, they were just talking a little bit about the book, and even like the whole council saying it's like, yeah, we've been planning that Aegon is gonna be the king this whole time, but we've never seen it before. Apparently in the books they have like days of discussion to actually figure out what they're gonna do, which sounds way better than this. It's like, oh, this has all happened in the background. It's like, what? No, stop it.
Well, I
especially
think
because in the episode before, the mother is like, oh, you're no son of mine, you suck. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah, you're right. The presentation of that event through that episode was very, very poor.
Yeah, and then this one guy who actually goes against him gets killed by getting punched on the pebble on one of these presenting stones or whatever they called. It's like, why did he die? It was weird.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a very
whole episode.
This episode feels so out of place.
It seems like a weird, almost like bottle episode where it's like, hey, this is just their adventure around the like Flea Bottom to try to find the drunken king. You know, he went out whoring last night, and then it ends with just destroying a character by making her brutally horrible and arguably the least morally sound person in the entire situation, where it's nothing but family members backstabbing each other.
Yeah. That's
like it's like wait, hold on. She's kind of on, because I don't know. I guess there might be people that are rooting for the Greens, but I think like the show seems to me to be set up from the Blacks' perspective. Like I'm talking about the factions of Targaryens.
Yeah.
Not anyone.
Cancelled.
I just realized how that sentence. I was like, oh god, no, that's. Okay, the black bannered Targaryens. it's kind of written from their perspective, and effectively Rhaenys sides with them in that moment, but it has her siding with them by just committing an atrocity for what seems to be no reason. Because like she snuck out of there, they didn't seem to notice her, and they were in the middle of a thing. Where did she think that those people weren't going to leave that building until they found Rhaenys? Like she could have probably chilled in the dragon thing until everybody left, and then even opened a door or something.
I just imagine.
It's like there's really no reason she did that if she wasn't gonna kill them all.
I just imagine when Rhaenyra goes back to the castle eventually, and she finds out what happened. It's like, what the? Like, why did you do that? What's wrong with you?
Why? Why did you kill all those people, though? Why did you just wait till that night? It was the daytime. Who tries to escape during the day anyways?
Yeah. But yeah, still, overall, fantastic show. I'm very happy to watch season 2 when it comes out. This time, immediately, and not the year after.
We've exclusively talked about the worst episode.
Oh yeah, it's like
we actually both do really like the show a lot.
It just sticks out like a sore thumb. It's like, what happened here? Like I do wonder what happened. It's such a rushed episode. It's really odd. But
but I mean, overall the show is quite good. And one of X-Ray Girl's mods, Smooth the DJ, he actually sent us a 4K Blu-ray of it.
Oh, that's
and
nice. She's
not rewatched it yet, but like about a month ago, I just it was Christmas time. I had some time off work, so I'm like, okay, I'll treat myself to a rewatch of House of the Dragon. And I was planning on doing over the course of like 3 weeks ended up being like 2 days. So
King Viserys.
I just like crushed half of it one day, crushed the second half of the other.
King Viserys is the GOAT. Yeah, I like him a lot. He's probably my favorite. He's awesome. He
Looks a hell of a
tries.
lot better on disc than it did on the Canadian HBO app too.
God, he tries so hard to just keep the family together, and everybody just backstabbing them each other in the bag. He's like, I just want
Oh
a
God, yeah.
family. I just want us to be a strong family.
I know. And like he knows, and even they're saying like, Father, how do you not know? And he's just like, I fucking like,
I
God
just-
damn it,
I don't care.
Like he's like, I know, I'm just the one who's not going to admit it under any circumstances because I don't care. I just want my family to love each other. That's all I want. And they couldn't
Because
give
in
him
the
that.
end, he's like towards the end, he's just dubbed Viserys the Peaceful. It's like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Well, and like I mean, morally, I think he sort of was always doing the right thing in that respect because he knows that on all other sides of this that I would stand on is a bloody war between my family members.
Yeah.
And I just don't want that. So what can I do? I guess I can just try to be as neutral and in I guess ways ineffective as a king as possible so that I don't piss anyone off. Because
Yeah.
I don't want to take anyone's side with anything. I don't want to send a garrison to the step zones because that's going to bother these people over here. And
Yep.
I don't want them all killing each other when I die.
Yeah.
And yeah, it didn't work out so well for poor Viserys, though. Spoilers for House of the Dragon.
Yes.
You should watch it, though. It's good.
Hell yeah. Very happy I've finally seen it. But yeah, I think that catches us up to present days. I imagine. I mean, as you can tell, I've been doing a lot of catching up on various media things. Lots of good stuff. I didn't even watch anything exceptionally bad while I was over at Movie Release. I think the worst one was Aquaman 2, and that was just like kind of lame. And
Aquaman 2 worse than Rebel Moon?
no, I don't think so.
Okay, so wait, did you watch that one there? So isn't that the worst?
No, I watched Rebel Moon at home still.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't even want to talk about Aquaman. It's just lame and shit. And the last thing you see from the DCU is someone eating a cockroach. I think that's worth pointing out because that's really funny. Not in the way they intend to, but that's what happens. He puts a cockroach in his burger and then eats it because there was a meme in the show that doesn't make any sense. It's really weird.
Was it just that he likes the taste of cockroach?
So it's
Like,
it's
is
really
that the meme? I didn't see the movies.
So the thing is, Aquaman's brother has to be reunited with him because he knows people that has information, so he is back in the show. And it's like, hey, you've never been upstairs. And it's like, yeah, I've never been. Yeah, they have all these delicious things. And then Aquaman says, but yeah, have you ever tasted a cockroach? Those are really delicious. Obviously, in your brain, you're like, oh, he's going to fuck with him because obviously cockroaches are not that great. And then he gives him one. He eats the cockroach. And he's like, oh, yeah, that's pretty good. And then you think, like, oh, so the thing is, he tries to fuck with him, but he actually likes it for some weird reason.
So,
And but hang on. He looks at Aquaman. Aquaman's like, huh? Pretty good, huh? He's like, yeah. And then the scene ends.
I don't even know how to react.
Yeah, that was my reaction as well. It's like, you think you know because you know how jokes work for the most part. But I guess the whole joke is that on us because we thought they're gonna do this thing, but they did that thing. It's
that makes the Flash encountering George Clooney's Batman seem smart in comparison.
And then they use that at the end when he's going back to, like, the brother goes to civilization. He has a burger, and then a cockroach runs over the table, and he puts it in his burger. And it's like, yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, heretical nerds is like eats the bugs, live in the Atlantis. Are they trying to program us to think it's cool to live in underwater pods and eating bugs?
Oh yeah, James just says it's even fun. Yeah, look at this perfect burger. I'm gonna fuck it up. That's DC in a nutshell. Oh boy. But yeah, I don't even want to elaborate on that movie. It's just lame. Go watch the EFAP coverage I was on. That's all you need. That's
I shall. Sorry, I got a growling puppy. Jojo, no.
No. But yeah, that's what's been going on. Good times. Lots of good stuff happening. There's probably going to be more bad stuff coming up very soon. Which just leads me to what's gonna happen next? What are we doing? I mean, obviously we're gonna talk about Palworld here in a second, but for one,
on the agenda.
Forge back, obviously, it's gonna be
Yeah.
back weekly, so it's not gonna be a lot of pauses, breaks in between. It's gonna be back weekly, and I'm not gonna be alone. As you can see, there's someone here. And
Hello.
Mark is going to be here every time because Mark is now the co-host of The Forge. He's going to be here every single time. It's going to be a great time.
Thank you very much, good sir. Dankeschön, as you gentlemen say.
Oh,
But yeah, no, like thank you very much, man. Like I honestly love being on the show every time I am on, and I tend to be a pretty long-winded person at times. That sometimes when I'm on other shows, they're like, okay, you got to figure out how to stop talking sometimes. So anytime I have one of the EFAP style shows that we enjoy the long, it's always a pretty comfortable fit. So I'm very happy you invited me on, and I'll do my best to be as awesome as I can for as long as I last, which is hopefully a while. But I mean, ultimately, guys, like I don't know if this is going to be the perfect fit, but I'm going to do my best. So. Hopefully the audience out there enjoys my company. I'll try to keep the puppies under control. So I can't make JoJo growl on command. I think I just have to lift her up. See?
Oh my god. But yeah, that's going to be... We're going to be here at a duo. That's going to be good times. Going to be fun stuff. And now Mootle the guest. Damn it. I've put myself out.
Still his channel. I am the guest. We are in his home.
But yeah, it's gonna be good times as long as Canada doesn't try to get rid of Mark. I have a couch. That's fine. You can flee to Germany. I need Mark's opinion on Echo. Does it feel represent? I don't think you've seen Echo, right?
No, I've not. But I mean, not because I didn't have any interest in seeing an amputee in a fighting match of some kind. I mean, hey, realistically, if she could show me some cool stuff, maybe I'd be like, hey, I should watch this to learn some fighting techniques.
She won't.
But yeah, the thing is, I'm kind of just out on Marvel. I think Quantum Mania was it for me. At this point, I may have to get back into some if you assign one to me because.
That's definitely gonna happen. I'm sorry.
I know. And I'm enough of a professional. Hey, that's why I saw The Flash. I would not have gone to see that of my own free will. I'll say that much.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when I know that there's going to be a friend that's going to share in the pain with me that I can then clown on the movie with, it makes it a lot easier to sit through something that's kind of crappy. But yeah, and then hopefully we'll end up having some entertaining things to say about it. I mean, hell, I think we got a bit of an entertaining rant for just being pissed about Greg Miller's state of mind.
Yeah, I don't think we will have any problems filling time with anything. I think we'll be fine and dandy.
When in doubt,
that's funny because I actually I watched Echo actually on my own in one go.
How was it?
That's fucking awful. It's empty and shit. It's just there's nothing really interesting to talk about anyway. I guess go watch the lads EFAP coverage because I didn't take any notes. I just watched it on the side, so I'm up to date basically. But it's the main character is unlikable. She sucks. She doesn't give a shit about her family, even though at the end it's all about reconnecting with the family. But she's just like takes advantage of them because she's with the Kingpin for a lot of years, and then she figures out that the Kingpin actually killed her dad. And then she shoots him in the face, but Kingpin actually survives. But Kingpin is such a simp for her and wants her back, but at the end she doesn't. Then she tries to kill her, but she does. Then she also has these weird Aztec powers or whatever. I don't know. It's boring.
Wait, she's Aztec? I thought she was supposed to be like Native American.
Native American, whatever. Yeah, that's what I meant.
Oh, I mean, like I don't know. I didn't watch it. I was like, I thought they were.
Yeah, it's supposed to be Native American. I don't know. For some reason,
American.
Aztec powers came to my brain just now because I'm incredibly racist.
That's the other America. That's the South one.
Okay.
It's the one that Namor is apparently from now.
Yeah, and she has like those powers that are taken down. It gets incredibly awkward when they say, "Oh, your mother is a healer." And it kind of sounds like they were trying to go for like she's like good with people and brings the best out of them. And then next episode is like, no, she's like actually a healer. She can heal people for realsies. And then you're like, wait, she's an amputee that's also deaf. Is that out of the skill tree? Can you not heal that? Is that not allowed? Why is that? Are you going to tell me how this works? And they won't. And yeah, at
There's
the
nothing that makes good storytelling quite like ill-defined powers.
yeah, because she just gets all these powers that I get ascended through the fucking tree. Like at the beginning of the episodes,
She's the Avatar, and you've got to deal with it.
she has like cunning from this one predecessor. Then she has the healing powers from the mother. The strategy from some other lady from the past. It's really weird. And
You're going to be able to get together before the Fire Nation takes over the
yeah,
world.
but in the end, like none of them give her superpowers like Captain America, but she still overpowers all these people, no problem, that are way bigger than her. She tanks like punches to the face. The action scenes are the awful stuff you expect, like people running up with guns to her and people in out of frame that definitely have guns but haven't been doing anything. It's horrible. The Daredevil thing
Brooks
that you
made a
saw the
video-
leaks of is just a bait and
Yeah.
switch. He's in one episode for this amount that you've seen in the leak. That's all you get.
So just the one fight.
Yes.
He's a random dude she fights. JoJo.
Yeah,
JoJo's
because
upset about that.
that's
She
actually
loves
her. That's her first assignment from the Kingpin, where she goes with the team, and Daredevil comes in. I was watching these people all day, and then you ruined it. And then they have a fight, and that's it. So that's just a whole bait and switch, so people actually come watch the show. So a classic Disney move, I guess.
Yeah, when in doubt, cameo.
Worse than Loki season 2? Nah, no way. Loki season 2 is fucking terrible. The stakes in Loki 2 are so fucked and incredibly big. This is just
I promised two of my friends that I'd watch that because they both said it was good, and I was like, I really don't think I'm gonna like it, guys. And they swear that I will. But
you won't. You
we'll
definitely
see.
won't. I
I
swear
have a
to
feeling
you.
I won't, and I've still not brought myself to even start the first episode. Though
You sh-
I've chipped away through a fair amount of Rick and Morty now, like the newer Rick and Morty episodes for the same two friends. Who I swear to God, if they don't watch Andor and Arcane, I'm going to never speak to them again. Like, guys,
Yeah.
come on. If I did the thing, how come you didn't? But
You
yeah,
showed
so,
me
I don't
shit.
know.
I'm showing you good stuff, so it's not even
Yeah.
fair.
But
If Mark's
yeah, I
like
don't know.
like it,
I'll
kick
give
him
a
out of
shot.
the show.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, I don't want to say that because, like, I will have hot takes, obviously, like everyone does. Everyone has like the thing that they like that no one else likes. And I guess just the thing to do would be to just have me present an argument for why I like it. And if ultimately my argument comes down to, I don't know, some things happened that I thought were kind of nice, like, then you obviously I'm not right? Like, so, and hey, you can be wrong about liking something too. It's like, well, I like that thing, therefore it's good, is usually not the way things go. Sometimes you can like a thing even though it's bad. And the best thing to do is just be honest and admit about it. Yeah, it's pretty bad, but I liked this, and this about it. And yeah. But yes, Dark Souls 2 is not good. I call foul on that share site.
Oh man, but yeah, Echo not great. There's more Disney stuff to come, I'm sure, and we're gonna get there when we get there, I guess.
Can't wait.
But yeah, obviously there's probably not going to be like a movie every week, so you can probably expect us to talk a lot more about games as well, because we both stream a lot of games online, and so it makes a lot of sense to just talk about it when we play it. And we both play indie games, you even more than I do, so
Yeah, I try to.
we're probably
jump
going to
around the
recommend
map.
stuff towards each other, and then we can talk about those things here on the Forge as well, which should be good stuff. We're going to be obviously looking out for, I don't know, just happenings in the week. Just maybe give our 2 cents on those ones if we're knowledgeable. Obviously, we're not going to talk about any political stuff or anything. It's just obviously going to be media
Not really
focused
either of
still.
our deal.
That's not going to change. So I'm not going to start talking about shit I don't know balls about. So there you go. More politics. No. Yeah, it's gonna be good times. We're probably maybe even gonna touch upon some tech stuff because we kind of know stuff about that just by building our own PCs and just tinkering around with stuff once in a while. And I mean, just having the pulse on like all the tech stuff, at least a little bit. I don't know how much you do, but I'm just kind of involved. I watch like the Gamers Nexus things and stuff like that, so I'm kind of kind of know what goes on here and there. If there's anything interesting, I can see us maybe touch upon that. Not like in a long way or anything, but maybe just
Generally, if
talk
there's
about
any
it.
technology that interacts with video games in a major way,
Yeah.
I'll find things out about it just because I'll be interested in in a thing that's connected to it. And obviously, like when there's things like new GPUs and stuff coming out, like I'll be kind of interested in like say, okay, what's Nvidia offering? What's AMD going up against it with? Or hey, what's that new Nintendo Switch going to be like? And will they have the balls to call it the Super Nintendo Switch?
There. I'd actually like that. I'd like that. That'd be cool. Uh, but yeah, that's good. Obviously, I'm sure we're gonna talk about emulation at some point because we both like emulation quite a bit.
Yeah.
So
I absolutely love emulation is kind of the like that's the solution to physical copies for console games, really, like for the vast majority of them. There is, once you get to PS3 360 generation, things start getting a little touchy, but most games prior to that are pretty easy to fire up on an emulator, and
yeah.
getting running as close to perfectly as you can get without having original hardware and a CRT TV.
Yes.
Because that's a big element of playing old games that I think a lot of people forget about. And then they'll go back and play an old game on their 4K TV and say it looks bad. And it's like, well, it didn't look exactly like that when we played it though. Like, because our TV technology is much different. So yes, I recommend CRT filters within emulators, everybody. Some of them suck, but perfect widescreen or flawless widescreen. That's a program you can get that adds a pretty good one to any program.
Yeah.
Which you should also add to the Castlevania collection on Steam because, man, it looks pretty rough without it.
Yeah. I actually have like a converter for my retro games. So if I want to capture them on my PC, I can do that quite nicely. I don't have like a RetroTink or anything. We're just going to be a thing I want to buy at some point because those RetroTink things, they're really cool. They have like really good upscaling to 1080p and stuff that actually looks pretty good. But they're pretty pricey.
Yeah,
they're very
I've got
expensive.
this one called a Retrocon. I think, yeah, Retrocon 3, I think. I got it like 7 years ago or something like that. And it has a micro SD port that you can just put a card into. And then Super Nintendo, Famicom, which is like Japanese, NES, Sega Genesis, Game Boy Advance, therefore being also Game Boy and Game Boy Color as well because it's the same port. And you can put any of your physical copies into there and it just automatically rips you a ROM onto the micro SD card. So that's pretty much how I backed up my entire game collection from those generations. I was just like, okay, every one of these they're my cartridges. They even bring in your save file. Like, so you can pick up your progress from the cart on those things. So that was the means by which I did that, because I think that getting cartridge systems onto, like, ripping those into a ROM on your own is tricky to do, because you either need to have a modified version of that console or some kind of like extra device that you can plug the cartridges into. Whereas disc-based games, like, you can rip any disc-based game. Like, just if you have the drive that reads that disc, there will be a program that will just turn that into a digital disc image file for you. It's not that tough to do.
Oh no, I don't have a RetroTink. I would like to own one, but the newest version that they just released is like $700 and also sold out. But it can do a lot of things. There was a Linus Tech Tips video on it recently, and looks pretty fucking cool. So maybe if I have the spare change at some point, I might actually dish that out, because I don't know, would be really cool to have a really good upscaler for these. So I can play them on my actual, because I do have all those consoles, but you know, they don't look as great when you capture them via capture card and stuff like that.
Yeah, and then like, because when you're trying to process what's effectively an analog signal, like an RCA signal, into HDMI, you get problems with it, even when you don't want it. Like, I got one for my PS2 because actually it was around the time the Castlevania anime came out. I wanted to play Curse of Darkness, but I wanted to see if there was a way I could stream it. And I got this little component cable to HDMI converter thing that was supposed to be for streaming old video games, and it, like, I was getting audio clipping issues, I was getting screen tearing. I was
They're
just
pretty
like,
bad.
oh, okay, like, I was like, I can't stream this.
I tried
like,
one of those.
This game's absolutely trash, so why are you playing it?
I tried one of those cheap ones. I quickly bought another one that's a bit more expensive because it's pretty shit. But I also got myself, like, from like a local online marketplace. Someone basically around the corner from me sold an old TV for $50 that has like the
Yeah,
old
yeah.
the old connectors. It's like a flat. It's probably plasma or something. I don't know. It's a thicker flat screen basically from Panasonic,
Yeah.
but has like all the old connectors, so I can put like the PlayStation 1 and Super Nintendo and everything. It has like the SCART adapter connectors and everything. So
Oh, cool.
that's my retro gaming TV. Um, all I had to do was get a universal remote for it because it wasn't included anymore. And unfortunately, it was stuck on Zoom one, so it was always zoomed in, and you couldn't get to the menu with the buttons on the on the television, which is like kind of
That's
stupid.
funny.
Yeah, it's very good. I also have a remote for a sound bar, which did work with the television, but the only button it couldn't map was the one for the menu, so it didn't
Oh
work
man.
either. It's like, fine, I'll get a fucking universal remote for $20 or whatever, and now I can use it fine. But yeah, it's
Nice.
pretty fun stuff. I do like
Yeah,
retro gaming.
I
I
always
wish
have
it
a
would be less
crisis of
expensive.
remotes around. Yeah, I mean, it's why, like, I mean, just picking up physicals are usually the best, like, I guess you could say the most ethical way to go about getting emulated games. Hitting the high seas is an option, but I don't know. At the same time, it's hard to really condemn people for like pirating an old video game when it's like
It's
when
not,
it's a copy of thing that,
especially when it's not available anywhere anymore to
yeah,
buy.
new especially because when you're buying a used copy of a game, it's still secondary market. So when people say, "Oh, you should support the developers and buy it," like, buddy, if you buy a copy of Super Mario Brothers 3 on NES right now, Nintendo's not seeing a dime of that. They haven't produced one of those cartridges.
The
in
only one
40
that profits
years.
is John Bob on eBay. That's the only one who,
Yeah, so
because
it's
he
like,
also put the prices on $60 at least because the retro market is fucked.
and like I mean, they're like I personally don't mind like giving people an emulated copy of a game that I've ripped if I know they want to play it, and I know I had a physical copy of the game that I did rip because it's like, well, I don't want you to have to spend $500 on eBay to play Panzer Dragoon Saga on Sega Saturn because you also got to find a Sega Saturn. It's like, dude, just at this point, emulate it, or Sega, hey, sell it, you know. And that's again, that's the service problem thing that
Yeah.
Gaben was talking about. It's like, hey, you know what? These games are just really easy to buy cheaply. You would be making money on them, but
Yeah, make them
not,
available for me
so-
to buy so I don't have to get a random copy somewhere. That's just really annoying. I mean, Ocarina of Time, you can only. Well, you can't even buy it anymore. The only way you can play it, I guess,
sub to
legally,
Nintendo.
sub to Nintendo Super Tier. Not even the normal
Yeah.
one, because I still have the normal one, because I occasionally play online with people, which probably doesn't even justify me giving them money each year. But it's not that much that it's gonna hurt me. So I'm just, I guess, privileged like that. And I'm just gonna like, yeah, whatever.
I think X-Ray Girl and I have a family plan for it, but
Yeah.
I've not played an online Nintendo Switch game in quite some time.
yeah.
It's been probably years at this point, actually.
Because I got the reminders like, hey, your thingy is going to be extended. And I was like, am I actually going to use it though? And probably by the time I remembered again, they already got the money for the year, and then I forget about it.
Yeah, it's I don't know. Like video game preservation is a big gray area. So I think that
Yeah.
like unless the companies that actually own the rights to this stuff and stand to make any new money on it to the people that actually do own the rights to it, at least, even if they didn't make it. Because for example, if you buy a copy of Duke Nukem 3D right now, you're giving money to Gearbox. You're not giving money to the people who made Duke Nukem 3D.
Yeah.
But you know, that's a business element that I don't think is ever going to be solved. But ultimately, if you can't locate these games, then are they just lost to time for you? Like, is it just your choice is be rich and be able to buy inflated prices on eBay that are more expensive than buying a new release game now in most cases? For example, the cheapest I can find Yakuza Dead Souls, which if I make like the big video on Yakuza that I'm kind of planning to make at some point,
Yeah.
hopefully soon, but this might take me a while because there's a lot of games.
Games, yeah.
There's the zombie shooter on PS3 where it's the Yakuza guys, and it's a third person shooter where you're fighting zombies in Kamurocho. And it's a game that I saw in Best Buy tons of times, walked by it for $5, $10, like it was a bargain bin game. And now the Yakuza franchise is much bigger. I'm now interested in it, which I wasn't really at the time because I just hadn't played any of them. So I was like, why would I play the spin-off? And the cheapest I can find it is $130 Canadian on eBay, and it's more expensive on Amazon because it's just private sellers on Amazon anyways. So I'm like, well, okay, so I hit the high seas for that one. Found a ROM of it, but it runs like crap. So I'm gonna have to do the morally correct thing, which is pay some dude who probably bought all the copies from Best Buy when they were $5, and has been selling them for $130 for a decade since.
What's also annoying is that you can't even count on flea markets anymore. That was like the thing where you could get them cheaply. But even now, because I was when I was on flea markets last year a couple of times, I went to the peoples that have like the big gaming stands, you know. And you go like, oh, you got like Super Nintendo stuff, and it's like, oh yeah, there's A Link to the Past for $60. Like, oh yeah, okay, I can get that on eBay as well. Well, I guess I'm not gonna pay shipping here, so lucky you. Here, have it, I guess, because they know the pricing online. Yeah, you need to go like super early when people just go down, so you can maybe find the grandmother and grandpa stands that maybe have old stock from their son that's now with the family.
They don't know what they have.
Exactly, yeah. But by the time when you go there as a normal person, it's like, oh, it's like midday, I'm gonna go buy a cycle over there and have a look-see. By that time, they all scoured them probably already and just fucking put them on their own stands for the pricing they know. That's annoying.
Yeah, actually, I remember bought my first NES, like Nintendo gaming system, because my first console ever was a Super Nintendo. I was old enough that I probably would have been able to have a normal Nintendo, but my parents never got me one, so I always had to go to a friend's house to play it. The first time I bought one was at a flea market for $11 because I spent $10 on the console and $1 on a copy of Metal Gear.
Nice.
I was like, oh, it's like they have Metal Gear and a Nintendo. I was like, how much you want for this? Like, I don't know. Make me an offer. I was like, $10? He's like, yeah, okay. I'm like, really? He's like, sure. You want a game too? I'm like, how much are they? He's like, I don't know, $1. Like, I really think he was a guy that was just like, yeah, look, I want to be able to get lunch later. I don't care about this stuff. But yeah, you could luck out in the 90s. Now the internet has made things more complicated.
There's gonna be the big flea market here close to me. It's gonna start back up in April. I'm gonna go back there. At least you can get like movies and stuff for pretty cheap still. But like retro games is kind of scuffed. I think PS3 and PS4 they're kind of cheap. I got the BioShock trilogy for like $12. It was still sealed. I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna grab that for sure.
Oh, nice.
Flea markets are great. Yeah, they're pretty fun. I definitely want to go. We have the really big one pretty close to me where we cycle to a couple of times in a year. It's kind of nice to just go over, just have some fresh air and maybe find some good stuff. I got like Hybrid Theory from for my N64. I need to get one of these memory extension thingies. It's like one of those games that needs it to run.
Hybrid Theory. I thought you were a Linkin Park album.
No, I think was it called Hybrid Theory or was that a different name?
I don't know. There's definitely a Linkin Park.
I know. Now I was wondering. Hang on, let me check my drawer.
And yeah, I was in high school in the early 2000s, so new metal is not quite the ear sore it is to most people. To me, I don't mind Linkin Park. I don't mind Limp Bizkit. They're fine. Tool is my favorite band though, so I'm a little bit more legit. Hybrid Heaven. Okay, there we go. The Swell Pill will give me a new. Yeah, I guess I deserve that because I understand how people view new metal. But hey, System of a Down is still incredible. Okay, they came out of the new metal scene unscathed.
I recently found my my box set of all the System of a Down albums CD.
Yeah,
I bought that a while ago, and I was wondering where it was, but it was just in a fucking closet that I forgot to check.
Yeah. Speaking of piracy, they have an album called "Steal This Album" that just looks like
that's true.
Looks like a burned CD.
Yeah, Also, you keep talking. I have to use the loo real quick.
Cool. You guys want to keep talking about new metal? He says, I found my Korn CDs recently. That was cool. I think the first two Korn albums are pretty good. Follow the Leader kind of like that sort of got into the territory where Korn and Limp Bizkit were evolving into. I think it's someone mentioned earlier. Yeah, Alex over there says new metal's pop music. Yeah, Follow the Leader by Korn and Limp Bizkit's Significant Other and Chocolate Starfish, even to an extent after that, were definitely getting into a more pop music direction. Though I think both of those bands still have good songs, and I think the guitar player in Limp Bizkit is very talented, actually. But the first Korn album is great, and the second one is okay. It's pretty good. It's not incredible, but System of a Down, I can't even think of a System of a Down album I don't like. Deftones, that's another great band too. Just Call Me DK. I'm bringing up Deftones, good old Chino Marino there. Actually, speaking of Tool, there's a fantastic Deftones song off White Pony called Passenger with it's him and Maynard doing a duet. And it absolutely slaps. It is a really, really great song. But yeah, I'd say though, like I'm one of the Tool is my favorite band, guys. I've seen them live like 7 times. Yeah, it's I like them a lot. I know that some people think they're kind of cringe, but I think less people think Tool are cringe than Limp Bizkit. So I went out with my hot take off the gate. Once I've said Limp Bizkit, what can I say that'll surprise you? Probably nothing. But yeah, I don't know. Let's see what other people saying in the chat that we got about. Oh, apparently, Kyanite Cat's husband loves Tool. Yeah, he's super based apparently. Oh, okay, we've got a lot of Tool fans. Good. Woo. All right, cool. Yeah. But yeah, no. 46 and 2. When I heard the bass line of that, that's what made me want to get like really good at bass. And then I ended up learning how to play an upright bass and went to an art school where I had to be able to play that well enough to get in and go to the school at all. So, you know. In a way, 46 and 2 is responsible for most of my youth because I heard that bass line and was like, oh, you know what? I should try a bass guitar. And yeah, because 46 and 2 has a really interesting bass line to the point that I thought it was a guitar when I first heard it. I was like, wait, what? Like, why does that guitar sound so low? And my dad's like, it's a bass. And I'm like, oh, no way. I was like, I thought bass was always just the one that you couldn't hear because it's just kind of playing the low note of what the guitar is playing anyways. But yeah, it kind of opened my mind in a big bad way. But yeah, I've been a music fan most of my life. So if you guys want to talk about music, I can sometimes talk about that stuff too.
It's the return of the Doctor.
Hey, we were talking.
It's Dr. Pepper time. Oh yeah.
I was defending my stance on new metal and smartly segued into a conversation about Tool.
Nice. Oh, I don't know, man. Dr. Pepper cans, they have a good opening game, dude. It's pretty solid sounds here.
Mm-hmm.
Well. But yeah, that's what's gonna happen in the future. So I don't even know what next week's topic is gonna be necessarily, because Madame Web, that's probably the next movie we're gonna talk about. That's February 14th, so that's a bit away still. But yeah, I'm sure there's gonna be lots of things happening through the week. I'm gonna be away the Sunday after Madame Web comes out though, so right. we have to cover it afterwards. I'm just going on a family vacation, but yeah, I could probably, if we do an episode though, is it next week actually? Hold on, what is next week? Like, what's the Sunday day? Next week Sunday is the 4th.
Oh, okay, I'll be around for that. It's the one after that though. I'll be in the Caribbean. But saying as we do this over Discord, X-Ray Girl's bringing all her stuff, so I'm not worried about having enough bandwidth for a Discord call. I think
you'll be fine. Yeah.
For that. Yeah, so I'll be on that one, but I'll be traveling the next Sunday, so that makes that a bit trickier because it's like, oh well, I don't know about plane Wi-Fi. Like that might be a bit of a different story.
Yeah, no, we'll figure it out. We can do it the week after. That's no problemo.
Also, man, could you imagine if I was on a full plane right now, how annoying I'd be to everyone?
God, imagine.
They'd be like, who's that guy even talking to? He's looking at his phone.
Oh, God. Don't ruin my Valentine's Day with bullshit. Oh, that's what you're going to have to watch with your girlfriend now. You have to go watch Madame Web. It's going to be... God, that's going to be cringe. It looks so cringe. Anyway...
I might be able to talk X-Ray Girl into going to see it, because I mean she might have to. She produces Nerdrotic show like Friday Night Tights, so she might have to see it just for that. And yeah, I feel like she'll like it more than I will for sure, because she tends to be much more okay with not fantastic movies, and when there's a lot of girls in them doing girl stuff, she's usually like okay with them, even if she doesn't end up loving them. But I mean, she the movies she loves generally are pretty good movies. Like, she's a huge Lord of the Rings person.
That's good. That's good.
We watch it every Christmas.
Nice. I still need to rewatch those. I haven't seen them in so long. Every year,
Man,
I need to rewatch them, and then the year is over again. It's like, oh shit, I still have to rewatch them again.
You just got to set a day aside for each one when you know it's like Christmas break time, like that. Like things.
I just need to get some friends over and watch it with them. I mean, all of my friends love Lord of the Rings, so that's not going to be a problem.
Yeah. And it's one of those series that every time you go back to it too, it feels great watching it once you get like 20 minutes in. Even it's just like, oh yeah, this is gonna be a good time.
Yeah.
Like the music, the way it's shot, Galadriel's voice at the beginning. It's like it's all just so good.
Oh god, this reminds me of Rings of Power is this year as well. Ugh.
I was talking about the real Galadriel.
I know, but it just reminded me immediately of Rings of Power. It's like,
oh god, that's a terrible thing to have happened to Tolkien.
It is.
Like, I mean, really, like the fact that that you can't say Galadriel without people immediately thinking of Rings of Power. Oh, that's rough.
That is rough, yeah.
Yeah, that's they've done functional damage.
Pretty much. But yeah, of course we're still gonna have guests where the applies, so it's not gonna be a whole duo show. We're gonna still get the guest stuff as you expect to, and it's gonna be. Yeah, that's it. I thought there was something else in my brain, but no, that's it. Full stop.
Well, do we want to talk about the Palworld stuff, or?
Yeah.
We still like okay, cool.
Yeah,
I was like, are we still talking about things that we will cover? Oh, wait, no, there is one thing that we wanted to cover, and you sent it to me, Monkey Man.
Oh, right, yeah. Swolpo actually sent that trailer to me, and that's why I found it. What's the guy's called?
Dev Patel is the guy directing it, and he's the dude from Slumdog Millionaire. The guy who was the main actor in that. He was also in The Green Knight more recently, where he was playing, I guess, a bit of a badass character. The one that's about Gawain, yeah, the old poem about the Knights of the Round Table dude. But I wasn't crazy about that movie, to be honest. But it's an A24 movie that a lot of people liked, and he is quite good in it. Yeah. But man, like I don't know, can we show trailers? How does that work? Like, do we have to just pause it every couple seconds?
I know. Cool I have a transparency thing. I don't have it prepared. Hang on.
Okay, don't worry about that. Everyone just watch the trailer to Monkey Man at some point after this stream. It looks really good. It's Dev Patel directing an action movie that he's starring in that honestly looks really awesome. And I hope it ends up being good. But there's a couple of quips in the trailer that I think are a little on the Marvel-y side, and I could have done without, but maybe in context they'll be fine, because it seems like most of the movie seems to take itself pretty seriously, or at least most of what they show you.
Yeah. It's just seen a lot of action things, and I didn't get the big red flags while I was watching. I haven't seen any people with guns walking towards the main protagonist like dumbasses. They were actually just not armed. They were just fighting. There seems to be some kind of arena going on at some point. That's pretty. Looks pretty fun.
Like a blood sport element too.
The things I've seen look pretty impactful. Like it had a good oomph to it when the punches were happening. So yeah, I'm kind of hopeful that it's gonna be good, and better than John Wick in any way.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's the thing. It looked like John Wick in India, but not Extraction.
Right.
But also, like it kind of has its own style to it too that I didn't think. And maybe it's the cuts to the arena fights that make it seem like, oh well, I don't know, is this like there's a competition element to this going on? Is it that this guy learns to fight by like training in this league, or I don't know. Like there's a lot about the trailer that I found pretty interesting that I want to learn more about, and I thought the action scenes looked like they were pretty well done.
Yeah.
And brutal too. It seems like a pretty violent movie.
But what else will they attack the protagonist with if not hitting with guns? That's a good question.
Yeah.
What could they possibly use? But yeah, look pretty cool.
A lot of the scenes that were pretty like claustrophobic. It seemed like he's in an area with a lot of cover and stuff where maybe a gun wouldn't be like the tool that you'd find. But I don't know, like, what's gun violence like in India? Is it terrible or not so bad? Because neither would surprise me, honestly.
I don't know. Yeah, same.
Like, if you told me, oh, there are no guns in India, you can't get one, I would be as surprised as if you told me, oh, it's super easy to get a gun.
Right.
I've just been playing the Yakuza games though, and I'm so used to in Japan there's like no guns, so when one shows up in a cinematic, it's usually treated as a big deal. But when they happen in battle, that's Yakuza Pocket Dimension battle. They don't count.
They shouldn't exist. I really hate the guns in the Yakuza battles. They're just annoying.
Well, I mean, you got to think the battles in general, because all the weapons, it's even the knives and everything. It's like, yeah, like remember, Kiryu's canonically like not killed anyone. Really.
Yeah.
And he's constantly stabbing people in the abdomen and then kicking the blade further in.
Very aggressively.
It was someone in my chat who brought this up to me, and apparently it was a YouTuber who first said it, and I don't know the credit on it, otherwise I give it. It was not me who made this up though, but effectively what you have to do is when you're playing a Yakuza game, you got to treat the battles as if they're happening in little pocket dimensions. And honestly, that makes everything make so much more sense. Like it really does work to explain it. It's like, oh yeah, okay, so they're representations of a battle, but they're not actually occurring the way they are here. It's like we're transporting into a universe where we're playing by Sega arcade beat 'em up rules, in which you pick up a weapon on the ground, hit someone with it 2 or 3 times, and then it drops, flashes, and disappears.
Yeah.
You know, like they're not real objects. They're video game power up that only exist during battle mode. Kind of the way, like, I mean, the fishing game cuts to like a whole new type of gameplay, right? So, although I mean, I guess there you're supposed to be fishing, but you know, you don't have to have Pokemon battles the way you do in both Palworld, I suppose, and Yakuza Like a Dragon and Infinite Wealth. That there's a Pokemon system in those games as well.
Yeah. Talking about Pokemon, what a segue! Good job.
Yeah, there you go. Set that up nicely.
Time for I guess the biggest thing in the last week, good old Palworld. For this one, I actually have the trailer here in the background. So if you're wondering, that's how it looks. It's like with the transparency thing. So normally that's enough to fleam shit up, but yeah, just have that in the background. So yeah, Palworld. That's been quite the thing over the last week. Obviously, if you somehow not aware. Palworld, that was like announced 2 years ago. It was basically advertised as, here is Pokemon, but with guns and survival elements. I was like, oh, that's pretty neat. And now it's finally out. It's in early access. You can buy it. It's $30. It's also on Game Pass, and it's I think now the most successful or most sold game on Steam ever. If I understand correctly, it's being played by like, I don't know, almost 200,000 people at once at one point. I think maybe even more.
PUBG still beating the peak concurrence, I believe.
Yeah.
But not currently, but like all time. I don't think that many people are playing PUBG these days, are they?
Probably not. It's still pretty big, but not as big anymore, I think. And yeah, it's just going crazy. It's going incredibly well. No one really expected that. It's like one of these games that I guess hit like one of these perfect storms.
Every so often there will be a Minecraft. Like there will be just an indie game that kind of comes out of nowhere, more or less, and just it pops off in a way that I'm sure even the developers didn't have any idea that they would be nearly this successful.
No, absolutely not. I mean, I don't think anyone expected it, but it just kind of blew up. I mean, it's on Game Pass, so I just gave it a shot. I've just been playing it offline, on and off a little bit, while I was just watching something on YouTube, or just listening to a podcast, or watching a movie, or whatever. It's a pretty chill game. I mean, apparently it takes a lot of things from like Ark Survival, which I've never played, or just survival games in general. You can build a base, you catch the Pokemon, they have the level up system, which from what I understand is basically the same as an Ark. I don't know because I never played it, but that's what I've been hearing. Well, obviously it takes a lot of inspiration from Pokemon, so much.
At least artistically, yeah.
So much that people like, that's kind of fucked. Well, how is this legal? Like a lot of them look very, very similar to the Pokemon that already exist. Uh, and that's like a whole controversy. Maybe just to round up the whole game thing itself first before we go into the whole controversy things, because I've actually I put like 25 hours in the game, maybe 20-ish hours, I think. I don't know.
Oh, holy hell.
I
I
mean,
didn't know you played nearly that much. You just told me, like, yeah, I played it a bit. I didn't know you put in 20 hours.
I mean, I think it's 20 hours. I haven't checked, but I've just
Oof.
been playing it while watching stuff on the side, and time just flies while you do that. I think I'm like level 30 or something, so I just got some guns, some automatic guns. And yeah, it's just a nice time waster. Keep in mind it's still early access, so there's a lot of jank. Pathfinding is pretty fucked. When you teleport back and forth between your bases, a lot of times I just came back to the base and some of my pals were just dead. I just assumed they spawned in the floor or somewhere in the sky and fell to their death. Lots of times it says in the bar, hey, this pal is really hungry. It's like, there's like 7,000 berries in this thing. What's happening? And then you turn around and he's like stuck in a corner or multiple. And then you have to just kind of grab them and throw them towards where they need to be so they can eat. So a lot of weird things like that that have been happening. Pretty jank, needs a lot of updates. The Xbox version specifically had a problem where there wasn't a quit game button, which apparently was a problem with the Game Pass version specifically, because they couldn't patch it out immediately for some reason. Which is kind of weird. It was like, why is there not a quit?
Was it like mapped to a controller? Like you press the L left bumper and it just quits you out of the game?
No, there's just straight up, there wasn't an option to say quit game
there was
in the
no
main
option
menu.
to. Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
it's now there. They were able to finally push it, I guess. I think they said something
You just had
that
to
they were
Alt
at the
F4 it on PC.
they were at the mercy of Microsoft and the Game Pass, and they couldn't push it out even though they had it already, had it fixed already. So that was a bit weird. But yeah, there's also raids that happen, like NPC raids that go on. The way I built my base, they weren't able to get to my base, so they just got stuck somewhere and then turned around at some point and they were gone. So
you picked the best location possible. You picked the one that's invulnerable to attack.
It was completely by accident. It was like in the beginning place. I was like, oh, I could like see everything here. There's like some good space I could use. And then I built like 1 or 2 walls somewhere, and they just couldn't get in anymore. They just got stuck somewhere and then just fucked off at something.
Hey, don't work hard, work smart.
Yeah. So yeah, that's just the thing that's happening. I've seen a lot of visual things where you can look into the models of stuff and stuff like that, and it's like, you probably need to fix this and this and this. But it has to be said, $30. You can play it alone or multiplayer. No microtransactions. It's overall a functioning game.
Yeah.
And it's by far much more interesting than the normal Pokemon gameplay loop that you know and maybe hate by now. I don't know. Because the Pokemon games have been the same, pretty much the same as far as I know, since back in the day. I think they did a couple of spin-off thingies that were a bit different. But I think people are getting a bit tired of the Pokemon thing, so I think that's a big reason why people flock around this game so much. Like, oh, it's like the Pokemon aesthetic, but you can actually enslave these Pokemon if you want to. Also, there's human beings you can actually capture with your balls, Pokeballs, whatever they're called. And can enslave those if you want to. So it could be yeah, you can build like whole facilities where you just exploit your pals until they die, and then you just replace them with new ones. Which just something people were memeing about forever, and now you can actually do it if you want to.
I mean, the same kind of thing was happening with the Koroks and Tears of the Kingdom. Like, if you give dynamic systems to a player and they end up using them to commit atrocities, it's like, well, you know, that's a meme. That's a fun result of the systems that you provided. You know, it's obviously not what you intended to have happen, but I like it when games just give you the option and don't
Yeah.
stop you from doing something that you should be able to do with the rules they've set out to you by throwing an invisible wall in front of you and just being like, no, you can't do that though.
Yeah.
It's like, well, why I could? Like, how's this thing any different than this thing? It's like, well, that one's a person, so we don't enslaving people. It's like, well, I mean, it's a living thing on this planet.
Yeah. I've seen
I need to get things
on,
working for me.
seen a clip on Twitter floating around where someone just goes around starting to just poke the Pokemon that are working on like some some facility lines and stuff, and it's like, work harder. And I know you can build like little podiums or whatever where you can say make them work inhumanely, basically. So all these things. It's pretty fun. It's pretty fun. It's I mean, if you played survival games before, I don't think there's anything exceptionally new or breaking that will surprise you. But I guess the whole package of it being Pokemon, you can ride your Pokemon if you want to. You can enslave them. You can make them happy if you want to. Just keep them happy. I think that whole package just has struck in a thing with the general audience, because last time I checked, they have sold 8 million copies. I think it was 2 days ago, so it's probably even more by now. I mean, this game is selling like fucking hotcakes. I'm
pretty sure that's Steam only too. Like apparently they've not gotten, because it hasn't been a month, so they don't have the Xbox sales numbers.
Yeah, so it's only Steam.
I've been hearing something
it was
about
like 8 million a couple of days ago. So it's probably more now. I think it's people are saying it's about 1.5 million on Xbox. That's the estimates. But yeah, it's going incredibly well for them, is what you could say.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that as much as there are obviously like arguments that we can get into at this, like, not that we necessarily will have with each other, but like we'll present the arguments of things like AI and stuff like that the game's been criticized for. But ultimately, I think if people say, oh, well, this is just a Pokemon ripoff, or all it's just an Arc ripoff, like ultimately the developers can say, yeah, but ours works, and it combines a few elements that people like that they didn't expect to see together, and they've not seen together in the official franchise that we're apparently ripping off. Like if Pokemon's never made a survival game that's like this and runs that well and gives you as many options, then they are filling a hole in the market.
Yeah.
So ultimately it's like, well, if you're going to argue specific instances of plagiarism being why it's not okay, I think that's fair. And it's like, okay, that's a case-by-case thing. Look at those designs and then figure out if there's any reason why Nintendo should be like, this is actually you copying our stuff that we own in a way that's not legal. Like that's a different story. But to just say, hey, the element of Pokemon and Arc, smash them together, therefore it's not creative. I'm like, I don't know. There's a lot of games I like that are just two types of game styles I've liked independentally that were combined in an interesting way. Like, I don't think that necessarily makes the new thing that's created inherently bad just because it's made up of unoriginal pieces. Like if you put unoriginal pieces together in an original way, you've still created something kind of original in its own way too, even if it's not entirely original from beginning to end, like bottom up from the concept art to the final game, original. They're clearly copying ideas, but if they put it together in a way that's clicking with people and that they're saying, hey, this game's reasonably priced, or I have a reasonable ease of access to it through Game Pass, or whatever it is, and I'm liking it and playing it a lot. I mean, JoJo's getting upset about it now because she's not seen her mother in a week because of this game. But yeah, I don't know. I think that arguments can be made against its legality when it comes to things like the art assets and whether things were plagiarized or unethically created using AI, which the big unethical thing would be that they didn't disclose it to Steam, which you do have to do when you submit your game for approval. So if you do use AI art assets, you can say that. You just have to declare it so that Steam can make sure that you're not just ripping other people off flat out. So it's, and I mean, hey, they might have been lying. and that's that. Like they should easily have to suffer the consequences of lying in their submission to Steam if they were using AI art. And I think that would be the bigger problem than them using AI art to begin with. Because like I don't necessarily think that if you've got to create 100 or 150, I don't know how many pals or Pokemon or whatever in this game, and you say, okay, let's get AI to generate a bunch of just designs for us of cute little creatures, and then use those, tweak them, and speed our process along, just so we don't have to make 200,000 sketches before we get to the work that we're going to need to do, because we're a team of however many people. I'm going to guess it's not huge, and not a lot of us are fantastic concept artists. So, and I'm not saying that's the case for Palworld, but I'm saying that if a game development company said, yeah, we've got a lot of good coders here and people who can make a good first person shooter, but how are we going to build our bosses? Because none of us are very good at making unique art. We have these ideas for these cool boss fights. I don't necessarily think those people are doing anything wrong by using AI to help them figure out what they want to do, while not having the resources to pay an artist, because ultimately that's kind of the scale I want to make sure we're focusing on here. Is less even higher end, kind of bigger budget, even though relatively small budget in the context of how much money it's making. Games like Palworld that's not the majority of indie games. Like a lot of them are made with like 2 or 3 people. So it's like, well, if there are 2 or 3 people who are making this on Godot, which is an open source game engine, which they don't have to pay for, and they don't have money. What if they're 12? What if they're 13? You know, it's like, well, go hire an artist. It's like, man, we're making this in our basement. Like, I mean, we have parents. We don't have jobs. Like, there's not really a way that kids, for example, doing that kind of game development can go out and hire concept artists. So I don't necessarily think AI tools are the worst thing in the world for helping people out at that scale. I think that if the AI is sourcing things too closely to what they end up turning out as, so it's like, okay, this is AI art that you said make us 150 new Pokemon, and they just made variations of Pokemon which exist, and then you submitted that as original work. I think, yeah, that's a big ethical, like you're not in a good ethical spot there. Like at that point you are sort of cheating. But I think the most interesting, I think, controversy that came out of this whole thing is what's popping off. Did you hear Asmongold's statement about the?
I mean, that would have been.
Where,
I would have gotten to that. Yeah, of course.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I don't know. Here, do you want to take the lead on that? Then?
Hang on. Let me go backtrack here a little bit, because the thing is, I know what you're trying to like. If you're a smaller thing, use AI to do the thing. The problem with this is, if you do that and use the AI, put it in your game, and then start making money off of it, I think that's still a problem. It doesn't matter how big or small you are, because it's still going to use all the assets that it's going to scrape from everywhere on the web without people's knowledge and consent. And then you have the problems like, okay, so how we the big problem with this AI stuff is it's not regulated at all currently.
Yeah.
So if you make this art and then you start making money off of it, that's kind of like
I'm aware of that as well, and I think that like if we get into the total like ethics of AI art in general, it's a bigger conversation than probably either of us are prepared to have right now. But at least I know I'm not. But at the same time, I guess where I think that becomes difficult to think of in simple terms is when you think of inspiration, or when people trace outlines of things and then start drawing on those, expanding on a design that they traced to make something new that looks different. But you don't necessarily have to pay rights to the thing that you initially traced. For comic books, for example, Marvel and DC would owe so much unbelievable, like crazy amounts of money to all sorts of actors, all sorts of models, even models in stock photos and stuff, because a lot of the time they do faces, they just grab a photo of someone, trace the face, and then alter it a little bit and continue going. And no one seems to have a problem with that. And I'm not saying that I do, but I just think that if we're talking about, is it because it's a machine that's taking inspiration and forging something through an algorithm? But if a human, how close can a human get to just copying something before it's plagiarism, I guess? And how does that interact with AI art? And I guess for what I'm trying to express is that it's kind of too complicated for me to look at simply and have a clean answer
Oh
for,
yeah,
you
same,
know?
absolutely. I didn't want to go through all the ethics of AI right now. It's just
Oh yeah, like
I would need to need to do a lot more research for that. But in the end, it was already pretty much disproven that AI art was even used for this one. I think the reason why people were jumping onto that is also, hey, Mupshly, how you
hey,
doing? The reason why people jumped onto that is because the CEO is is pro AI in the overall, not overall, like the positives of AI. He's like for that, from what I understand.
yeah,
And
because I
because they
think they
made
made a game.
they
They
made an
made a
AI
game where you're
art
supposed,
game. Yeah,
yeah, where you're supposed to try to identify between human-made art and AI art. So that
exactly.
it does look a little sus on his part for that, but that's also, hey, I mean, just because I played around with that tech and then made a game, that doesn't necessarily means I use that tech for this game also.
Yeah.
And I mean, if he did, that's a different story. But I think that
Yeah, well,
it's
if
that the
as you already
smoking gun
said,
seems to be that he's a
if
dude that played around with AI tech a couple years ago and is like, oh, I don't know that that's a condemnation of this project necessarily. I mean, it doesn't look great, but
yeah, but yeah, it's just as you already said, you have to disclose to Valve if you put a game on there if it's made with AI stuff, AI art. If they didn't do that and still put it on Steam without telling them, then of course they're gonna
yeah.
get in big old trouble with
Yeah, because
Valve.
at that point you're committing fraud. Like
Pretty,
that's
yeah,
like that you can even remove AI from the equation at all. You signed a contract that was filled out with information that you knew was incorrect, even though you were declaring like in writing that there's no AI used in this game or
yeah.
no AI art used in this game, and then if they find out there was, like, yeah, you're going to be in a lot of trouble, and that's a crime regardless of the subject. You know, you can't defraud people legally.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, people were jumping on that pretty much instantly. I guess a lot of Nintendo fanboys were on that because it's like one of these discourses where it's like kind of toxic on all the sides again. It's like,
Oh yeah, it's messy as
Nintendo
hell.
threw their asses off the planet, and they was like, see, Nintendo got wrecked, bro. And it's like, yeah, okay, but what is actually happening? Can we talk about that? That would be nice. Because there was this whole thing. It's like, oh, there was like this one big old thread. It's like, oh, those models were stolen, and that turned out to be completely fabricated. Like the person who did it came out and it's like, oh yeah, I just made that up. That's not true. Apparently, they scaled the models to fit the other thing.
Oh, yeah, actually, it was, I think Extra Girl was on, I forgot his channel. It might have been Lofty's channel or something, where they were kind of going over a few of the designs and the comparisons to it, and they showed a wolf, that like the wolf in Palworld and then the wolf in Pokemon, and how similar they looked. But also, I was looking at it, I was like, I think if you said to an artist that had never seen either of these designs, draw a Sonic the Hedgehog looking wolf creature,
Yeah.
they might both draw things that look exactly like that, because it is kind of what it
with
looked
things
like.
like
It
that,
looked like Sonic the Hedgehog, but a wolf.
when it's based on an actual animal, it's kind of hard to tell. It's like, okay, at what point is this just this crazy similarity because, well, it's a real life thing in a specific art style, or was it stolen by something? Like, I think that there's probably some bad. The thing is, I don't know any of the newer Pokemons or anything, so I can't even tell you which one looks similar to anything. I just recognize, oh, this looks like Pokemon. Like, I was like, oh, this looks like a Pokemon, but I can't tell you which one has like elements of whatever other Pokemon because I'm just not in the loop anymore.
Yeah, and
I
ultimately,
think there's probably a
looks
case to be made for some of them. I could totally see that, to be honest, but I would need to do a side-by-side comparison.
and I think that's the thing, because this looks like Pokemon as like the visceral reaction isn't enough on its own, because like the developers would say, yeah, we want to remind you of Pokemon, obviously. Like we're clearly trying to make a game that makes you think, oh, it's Pokemon, but it's an open world survival game with guns.
Yeah.
Like that was their whole goal. So, and ultimately it's like, well, you can't do that. Then I'd say, well, can Liza P not make a Souls-like game? Like, I mean, I'm kind of happy they copied what they copied from the Souls genre and made Liza P. So I'm not complaining about that one. And I love From Software, you know, like I think Dark Souls is great. I still am happy that Neo was ripped off whatever they ripped off and improved on what they improved on.
No.
Put things in a new context with a new story, and they're like, hey, you know, he made a video game. Yeah, it's built out of elements I already liked, but ultimately I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
If the game's good, like
Mahler just says, "You're not starting a podcast with this guy, are you? He's an absolute ridiculous, disgusting, worthless idiot. He's also German. Escape while you can, Mark."
I can't escape. The Germans have captured me. Please help.
He's in my basement.
I'm developing the accent already.
Oh, nein.
Somebody save me, please.
So yeah, the whole stolen models thing was also just made up straight up and was admitted to. So that's bullshit, apparently.
Are you aware of Temtem? You ever heard of Temtem?
I heard about it. I never checked it out, but I know that was like the craze for a bit. I saw you talk about on the Side Scrollers podcast. I watched that episode you guys were on.
Oh yeah, thanks. It's much more clearly, directly trying to just be a Pokemon game. And like I say that as a person who's not an expert in Pokemon games, but because I've not really played much of them. I played a few hours of Pokemon Go. So, but my wife is also obsessed with Pokemon though. So I know a lot about Pokemon through osmosis, not a lot through actual experience, which is why I've been trying to more analyze the Palworld meta than trying to give my comments on the mechanics, because I'm like, look, I don't play survival crafting games really, and I've not really ever played Pokemon, so I'm kind of the worst person to take on this game as far as analysis goes. But yeah, I found the conversation around it really interesting, because there are almost every single side has at least one very strong argument, and I would say very many of the sides are also kind of going crazy in a lot of ways too. So it's one of those things that there's not a clear-cut people who are right in this one. And I found it interesting to see so many people argue as passionately as they have about how clearly right they are on the old Twitter app. It's been interesting to watch.
Yeah.
I'm not really been diving into too much of it, but this is probably actually the most I've ever spoken about it. But so yeah. Part of me is trying to figure out my own stance.
Yeah. What I find interesting is because the game was released was announced 2 years ago, and the style hasn't changed. I do wonder if like the Pokemon or Nintendo or whoever it is already looked into it and they just realized they don't really have a case. Because Nintendo is
probably would have happened 2 years ago.
Nintendo is really trigger happy with their IPs. I mean, the Pokemon mod that came out for Palworld, that was nuked immediately, like a day later. So I do wonder why.
So when they have a clear cut target, they're pretty clear about taking action on it. So it's odd that even the trailer for Palworld would have passed muster if Nintendo wasn't at least not necessarily cool with it, but at least if they didn't already realize, there's actually nothing we can do here.
Yeah,
it's different enough that it's like we'd have to start saying you can't ever have a game with cute monsters in it.
Yeah, but no, they also came out and recognized. It's like, oh, we're aware of IPs. We're gonna look into it. I wonder if that was just something to keep the community at base or something. It's just like, we're looking into it. Even though they probably already did. I would be very surprised if they didn't already check their legals for this one.
Yeah, I mean, especially after all that's happened in the last few weeks. Like it's clearly something that is on Nintendo's radar at this point. Yeah. And they don't tend to work too slowly when it comes to these things.
No,
either.
They fucking love suing people. That's insane.
Although at the same time, like 8 million copies sold, that's you're getting the amount of, especially on a lower budget game. I think it was like 6.5 million, which it sounds like a lot of money, but like in the context of modern game design, that is almost nothing. Which or almost nothing for a big game that's as successful as this is. I guess in the context of an indie game, it's actually a very expensive game. But you know what I mean? I think they could step into the ring with Nintendo if they wanted to at this point. Like it wouldn't bankrupt them because they've made an astonishing profit. Don't sell another copy again ever.
Someone in chat just said that the dev is a Japanese studio, so they fall under Japan's copyright laws. If Nintendo had a case then, we wouldn't be talking about Palworld right now. Yeah, that's a good point, actually. Yeah. But yeah,
that's another thing. I've seen a lot of people be like, "Oh yeah, but you guys are looking at this in the context of American law. This is Japanese law." I'm like, well, but the game still came out.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, yeah, they're both in Japan, so I don't know. Like, how much do I need to know about Japanese law in order to know if this is okay? Because ultimately, I mean, couldn't they just not release it in Japan, but release it everywhere else if it was only Japan that mattered? Like, I feel like it's not just the local area's law that matters in the context of an international product. Like, I don't know how true that is. I mean, maybe it is. Hey, if Japan says no, then that's it. They can't just go to Korea and release it under a Korean publisher. If they don't want to go far, you know, like obviously you could go to this, but I don't know how that works exactly. So it's hard to get a clear verdict on it or a clear opinion.
Yeah. Also, there's one other thing. Apparently, there was something around that the game uses NFTs, which okay, which not true as well. Like another thing that someone just made up because the CEO apparently trades crypto. It's like, okay, so people just latching onto everything, trying to fucking nuke that game out of existence. Which
so wait,
I guess there's a lot of Streisand effect happening here as well because the.
You're telling me that the CEO of a tech company invested in something that pretty much every other tech bro in the last decade has invested in? Oh God. He must be an NFT for life guy, I guess. Because he has a Bitcoin.
Well, cringe. But yeah.
Actually, I say a Bitcoin like it's not a lot, but that's a lot of money, actually.
So yeah, that's a lot of things just being made up or being accused, and that's been pretty much all just been proved wrong or not true or not, at least not provable to some degree. Also, you gotta have to see what time brings. But as I said, I feel like if there would have been a case for Nintendo, they would have stopped this in its tracks and they would have made them, I don't know, redesign something. Let's say they tell them, hey, those 20 pals, they look way too similar to ours, and they have a case for that. And they're like, fine, we're gonna change them then. I mean, they made so much money now. I don't think that's gonna be a problem.
Rip those out of the game and replace new ones with similar attributes, just totally different art style. Like, I mean, because it's like if they'll do that, then it's like, okay, do you still have a case? Are you still suing us, or have we satisfied the conditions of your suit? It's like, what do you actually want here? Like, now you got to pay damages. It's like, oh, because of the Pokemon game you released in January. Like, what are we damaging? Like,
also, I think the last big Pokemon game that came out was a broken mess on Switch as well, as far as I know. Yeah. I don't know which one it was, but
I think it was the one that is actually like a mainline Pokemon game. At least a bunch of people seem to like the open world kind of Breath of the Wildy one, but I heard that was really just, it was like a very stripped down Breath of the Wild.
Scarlet and Violet, very broken. Yeah, those are the ones. It was funny because my sister was like, I want the Pokemon game for my birthday, and I was like,
I switched
I was like, which one?
I switched the same
Choose wisely.
Pokemon because I almost said it was the most recent colored Pokemon. I was like, oh my God, I gotta stop saying things that are gonna get me accidentally canceled. But what I meant was the ones that have titles that are colors.
Yeah. But she wanted the one before that, and I was like, oh, thank fuck. I didn't want to buy the other ones because they're broken shit. But yeah, lots of things happening with that game. But yeah, it's very successful. People buying it.
Lightning Ninja says Legends Arceus is really good. So that's the Breath of the Wild looking one. It's probably the one that looks the most like Palworld if you were like to do side-by-side screenshots. But I don't think it plays like it. But I also, again, not a Pokemon guy.
Yeah, no idea.
Not a Pokemon guy, not a survival guy. I played a bit of Valheim and a bit of Conan Exiles. Didn't really get into either of them because I don't particularly like building things in video games from scratch. Like, I'm not a guy who likes building my own fort out of like doing the flooring and stuff. I don't mind collecting resources and then building a prefab structure. I'm pretty okay with that. But whereas like in a real-time strategy game, for example,
I mostly keep my structures very simple. So I reach the tutorial thing, and then at some point it's like, okay, I'm gonna now I'm in the mood to build a proper thing, and then I'm gonna go do it.
What's really crazy though is I was playing Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, and I got to chapter 6, and the beginning of chapter 6 just sends you to or it might be the beginning of chapter 7, anyways, one of those. It sends you to this other island and just puts you in the middle of a survival crafting game.
Oh shit, really?
I had to spend about an hour. I even like I did the first half of it offline, then I ended my stream because it was like 2 a.m. I was like, man, I can't escape this genre. Like you use Ichiban's bat and you smash apart garbage piles to get cloth that you can build furniture out of, and cut down trees with a baseball bat, and mine iron with a baseball bat.
I've seen something on Twitter that looked like it's like Subway Surfers, like you dodge trucks or something. That seems to be a lot of crazy shit in that game, as expected from Yakuza, to be honest.
I did a sub story where Ichiban gets subbed in to be a stuntman in an action movie, and you have to dodge cars in the last second. So it's just the stuntman's just like, hey man, like can we just use CGI for this stuff? Like this is dangerous as all hell. I got clipped by that last car. I'm still injured from the last take. And then Ichiban thinks that they're gonna beat up the director, so he runs across the street to try and stop them. And in the process, he dodges a bunch of cars, and the director's like, oh my god, he's perfect.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Yakuza is pretty good with those funny, silly things, for sure. I always enjoyed that. Where was I?
Palworld and survival crafting. Yeah, I was just saying that they inserted a survival crafting game into one of the chapters in Infinite Wealth, but now it's a subsystem. So now I can go back to that island and build more stuff if I want, and eventually get that island to become a resort. Then you want to get to 5 stars. So it's a little meta system that you can go back. There's probably rewards and items. You'll get a legendary weapon of some sort at the end of it, I'm sure. But it's loaded with those type of systems, including, funny enough, also the Sujimon system, which is essentially Pokemon, where there's enemy types out in the world, and you can fight them and then try to capture them and then use them in 3-on-3 battles against each other, where it's different turn-based combat in the Sujimon battles. So it's still like a turn-based JRPG, but plays a little differently, and it's more about matching elements, and I don't know. It's that game's loaded with content already, and I know you're not a big fan of the JRPG combat in Like a Dragon, but it is better in Infinite Wealth. You can move around a little. Like you have a little circle in which you can move your character before an action. I think
mostly the problem I had with the first one is that after 14 hours, I still wasn't in a place where I could just do some side stuff. Still, like I was still getting very the beginning seems to be super, super, super slow. I think I could have gotten around the combat. But I just wanted to go out and start doing some silly stuff that I'm used to. But it took me.
They hold your hand a lot at the beginning of Like a Dragon.
I played I played and streamed at 14 hours, and it's almost like I just don't. I'm kind of bored. I want to do something. Like there's too many cutscenes going on for me right now.
I mean, oh god, that is probably X-Ray Girl playing Palworld right this second. And she's not on the same floor that I'm on. Everybody, we have a 2-story house, and she's on the upper floor. I'm in the basement.
It was so distant. That sounded really funny. Oh no! Yeah.
The puppies are both snuggled up in the blankets that are on top of me. Nice. They're hiding from the Pal woman, or else lest she enslave us as well.
Oh no! In the mines with your puppies.
Yeah. But I was just saying though, Like a Dragon, I agree that Yakuza Like a Dragon or in the previous game, they really do force you to kind of go through the motions of, hey, here's how you would make money by picking up things on the ground in this area. Now here's how you do the cart minigame. Whereas I would say that Infinite Wealth is equally slow at the beginning for less time. But most of that is that the first 2 chapters are kind of wrapping up. It's the epilogue for like the couple years later, prologue to the new one, but also kind of an epilogue to the previous one. And it's once you get to Hawaii that the game explodes content-wise, and then totally opens up and is bigger and more open than any other Yakuza game I've played in the series. And now the only one I've not played any of is 5 and the Judgment games. I've not played either Judgment game. Halfway through 4. And I've not touched 5, but I've finished every other one.
Nice. Very cool.
Yeah, it's good stuff, though. I'm liking it so far. And honestly, here's the hot take, or the surprising take, actually, especially because I was playing through a little bit of Man Who Erased His Name with the English dub, and it was really bad. It was a very bad dub, and not just Kiryu's performance. Like, in general, it was horrendously bad. Infinite Wealth apparently has a better director.
Oh, okay.
because yeah, even young, like his flavor dialogue still kind of sucks. Like anytime he's just like throwing out a line here and there, but he's had a couple scenes now where he's needed to really carry some emotion as Kiryu, and didn't pull me out of it at the very least. Which is weird to even see Kiryu speaking English in general is a little on the strange side. But I mean, I thought he was doing well enough that I was like, okay, I mean, this is fine. I'm at least buying the emotion because they're still animating it really well, and I guess I played enough Yakuza games where if I'm looking into Kiryu's eyes, it doesn't really matter what I'm hearing. Like I'm just like, yeah, no, that guy's got he's got all sorts of pain in those eyes, man. He's Japanese mafia Batman, and Ichiban, as I say often, is Japanese mafia Spider-Man. He's the one that quips and is very optimistic and lighthearted, whereas Kiryu's the dark badass.
So it's a Snowy movie game, is what you're saying. Got it.
Yeah. Oh, like I mean, the Yakuza games. So what's crazy about them is they're the most movie games you can imagine, but they've also got more gameplay than like any other video games. Like they managed to do both. They give you tons of gameplay and tons of narrative, and honestly, that franchise is super impressive. But you played a bunch of them though, right? So like, I mean, not telling you anything. It's mostly, I guess, for audience benefit. Play Yakuza games, everybody. They're all on Game Pass, except for Infinite Wealth.
Yeah.
And Judgment. Judgment 1 and 2 are not, and Infinite Wealth is not. But all the rest of them are.
Pretty fun.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's what I've been playing because I've not been playing Palworld. I've been in a Yakuza hole.
Yeah. I mean, I'm probably already done with Palworld for now. I don't know. I have other things to play. I just checked it out while I was starting to get back into the normal day-to-day. I'm catching up on some shows and movies I haven't seen. Yeah, it's just a survival game thingy. I've been playing it offline, so I'm not even playing it with friendos or anything. So definitely.
Have you seen Blue Eye Samurai?
No, I haven't.
Okay, that's one I watched that I ended up really liking that it seemed like no one talked about. But Drinker made a video on it. I think it's quite good. Similar animation to Arcane.
I've seen the animation. I don't think I agree with that. I don't think it looks very different from Arcane.
Oh, I mean,
I don't know where that comes from. I don't think
format, though.
I didn't
it's
think of Arcane at all when I've seen it.
Oh, really? I mean, no. I think it's similar enough in style in that it is a 3D animated show which tries to give the appearance of being more hand-drawn than your typical like Pixar movie or something like Final Fantasy Kingsglaive or Advent Children that are trying to be a lot more looking like they're real people, whereas Blue Eye Samurai is 3D animation, but it's stylized so that the 3D animation doesn't look terrible or doesn't look like it's trying to be ultra real. Whereas Arcane also was in a similar spot in that it's 3D animation, also both French studios, so there might even be some people that are working at both. And yeah, I just thought it was a similar in animation style. It's not a similar story at all, I don't think. It's much more just like straightforward, action-packed, but some really compelling characters in it. And I think the power levels and danger levels go kind of off the map in episode 6, but other than that, I think the season is quite strong. So if you ever want to do a Blue Eye Samurai episode, just catch up on that and let me know.
Alrighty, I'll keep that in mind. Oh yeah, you already touched upon it. I guess that's a culmination of all the discourse right now, because it kind of went from Palworld evil to, well, Asmongold's comments about AI and I don't know how much worth the artist's opinions are.
I think though context is important there, because the way I saw it is that he was telling the guy, because he's talking to someone who's arguing against it, and he's saying that through the eyes of your average normie consumer, I don't care that the animators at Disney were crunch. I want to see the Marvel movie. I like the new Thor movie. He's like, that's how they're thinking. They're not thinking they really care. So I think when he said an artist's opinion doesn't matter, he's like, it doesn't matter to the general public. I don't think he necessarily mean it didn't matter in the conversation, but I mean, maybe I'm giving him too much charity on that. I do good faith.
That's how I would have said it, because that's obviously true. So he said like, oh, what the artist thinks doesn't matter. It only matters what the consumer thinks, because the normal person is not gonna be like, oh no, that was made with AI. I'm not gonna buy it, because they don't know. If they don't know, they don't know, right? So yeah, if they don't know the implications of that, if you tell the normie this was made with AI, and they're like, okay, it's fun though. So there's some truth to whatever he said, but he said it very inflammatory.
Yeah, no,
That's
it
the
was done
thing.
in a way where it got clipped in a way that just made him look horrendous. And I think that the most shared clip of it, I think, was someone saying like this guy's actually retarded or something like that. Like that's the one that I see being shared by everyone else. It was someone else who like posted the clip out and is that, and I think it poisons the well a little bit because I watched it a few times and be like, wow, is he actually like saying it doesn't matter what artists think, AI is better or something like that? And I was listening to it, I'm like, oh no, he's saying that if you're just the average like 13-year-old who likes Pokemon and thinks Palworld's cool, if you were like, hey, this was made with AI art assets, that kid is not gonna care. Like, and the majority of people playing video games are, I mean, not looking at video games the way you and I do, or like most of the people. Honestly, if you're listening to this show, anyone in this audience as well, we probably think about it go into more depth than the average person who's like, oh, that Call of Duty game looks good. I guess I'll buy that. I buy Call of Duty every year. That's fine. And it's not because they're bad people or that they're not smart. They just don't care as much. Like it's like to them, it's like, hey, fun game that ticks a couple boxes that I want for a video game in my head. That's fine. It's good enough. Cool. And they're happy. But it just doesn't work as well when you want to enter the arena of, okay, let's talk about the ethics of how this game was made. And was AI used? Is that a problem? It's kind of the normie opinion almost doesn't matter at that point because the normie opinion is not, the normie's not having this conversation, you know?
Yeah, the general public doesn't care if there was crunch or someone being punched in the dick during the work days every time they came to work. They they want product that's good at the end. So the whole, even what because it comes up back to is like when you do the Yakuza, like, yeah, but they worked really hard on it. It's like, yeah, but it's still awful. Like you can work on something really hard and it's still bad.
It's the Chris Stuckman thing, right? Now that I've decided to make movies, I've decided I don't want to tell other people that their movies are bad. It's like, well, I mean, but you can though, because you still think that, and we know you do. So you're basically just saying, well, I just don't want to be. I don't want to put people in a position where I'm an easy target to them because I've thrown similar criticisms at that. It's like, okay, then he should probably not be on YouTube at all anymore. Okay, that is the point that you leave that life. You no longer do any film criticisms. You don't just say, okay, I'm still going to make review videos to my, I'll say over sub channel that'll make me some money, but I'm only going to make videos on things that I enjoyed. And it's like, okay, well, I mean, yeah, you can do that, but are you going to pick them apart, or is every single video about the things you enjoy going to be, this movie was great because I loved it and the story really made me feel things? Cool.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Chris.
Cool. I'm not going to be evil anymore because I want to be friends with all the Hollywood people. But I don't need to regurgitate that one again. But yeah, it's the way he said it, basically. He could have phrased it probably better. I also think that's what he meant, but the way he said it is obviously going to piss off artists everywhere.
And it doesn't look good as a clip out either. Like that's the thing. Like when removed from the context of it even not being just him ranting, it's a conversation he's having with someone else. And I think most of the clips I've seen of it's just him saying, "Artist's opinion, your opinion doesn't matter."
Yeah,
that, like, out of context, that sounds bad. But when you know he's like, I'm playing the role of normie who doesn't care what the developers, no matter what their role is in development, doesn't care about what they're thinking at all. It's like, well, I don't know. It's like I spent $70 on your game. Is it a good game? Cool. Then our transaction's finished. Like that is how most people think about this stuff, and it's why I think we have any audience that we do, because we're the nerds that don't mind spending the time to dig into some of these things and talk about them a little more deeply.
Well, yeah, that's that.
Which is why we love all you in the audience for being fellow nerds along with us.
Mark called you nerd, correct?
No, yeah, okay. Well, actually, I almost said, wait, I'm a bigger nerd than any of you. I was like, wait, no, that's gonna sound like a boast. I meant it for be a self jab.
Oh man, but yeah, that's been going around now. But yeah, I guess there's not that much more to say about Palworld. It's a survival game that's still pretty jank. Needs a lot of work and love still. but I think it's probably going to do well for a couple of more for probably for a long time. I'd say.
I'll be interested to see where Palworld is this time next year,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
I would be equally surprised by it being a juggernaut that's just gotten huge beyond our belief, or it totally disappearing.
yeah. That's going to be
Like it
interesting
was
to
just
see.
it was a game that people played for a month and then got tired of, and now it's flooded with all the blank bad things because
Yeah,
of blank changed.
I'd probably
Like
play it.
that can happen to any game.
I'd
So
probably play it a bit longer if I would have started like a world with some friendos or something. But now I'm on my way back to being just busy all the time. Like covering stuff, watching stuff, doing streams, doing these forges every week. And I have like a list of stuff I want to play. Like Dragon's Dogma 2 is coming. I'm gonna play Dragon's Dogma 1 for the first time. I'm gonna play something before that here. Starting next week, which I still don't really know what I want to play, but I want to play something before starting with Dragon's Dogma.
Dragon's Dogma 2 is the end of March.
Yes.
Okay, cool. I'll play Dragon's Dogma 1 after I'm done with all the Yakuza arc. Basically, I'm going to finish Infinite Wealth and then stream Yakuza 0, because I've not played it since before I started making videos, and it was the first one I played. And then I need to move on to other things. So I did start Dragon's Dogma about 6 months ago, but I got kind of thrown off by it, just dealing with other games I was playing. And,
Got Dune and
but now,
Dune Part 2 in March as well. Definitely gonna be
yeah,
watching that and talk about
do
it
my
here.
best to. I'm gonna go to a theater that I hate because it's one of the only ones in my area. Oh, it is the only one in my area that's playing the IMAX like 70
Oh,
millimeter
okay.
version. Yeah, it's a garbage theater now. It's totally gone to crap over the last 10 years. It's got a big screen though, so you know.
Oh well. But yeah, that at least covers all the things I had on the list I meant to talk about.
Now we can do the supers.
Yeah, I mean, if
If we got
if
nothing
you've
else.
got anything, chat, did we forget anything that happened that we should touch upon before we read some super chats and get out of here? Let's see. I'm not a nerd. I'm a flea.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. Flames are cooler than nerds.
The locked balls. But I always have locked balls. That's just how it is. It's easy to put down when you're only playing solo. Some friends and I go back and forth between and Valheim. Yeah, I can go in. Oh, thoughts on the Vince McMahon stuff? Oh, I should have thought that some people would maybe ask me about this because I watch wrestling. I mean, it's some fucking crazy ass allegations. I hope they're not true because that sounds horrible. Because apparently he had like a someone working for him. She was basically put around, given around as a sex object, for lack of a better
Yeah.
term. Sometimes
Yeah,
even as a negotiation factor for some wrestler, apparently. Allegedly, I've got to say allegedly because we don't know how true any of these are.
Yeah, this is like first information came out a few days ago. And see, the puppies are very upset. Big
Yes.
wrestling fan, that Jojo.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Like we're talking about being shit on and pissed on at some cases as well. So it's crazy. It's like a 80 page thingy. And the reason why this has such strong legs is because there's already been lots of NDAs that he's been paying over the years that people know about that are known. And apparently this was one of them that hasn't been paid anymore. And so she came out with all the juicy stuff, apparently. So, yeah, I got to see where that goes. But he resigned from TKO. So he's not involved in WWE or UFC at all. He obviously refused that the allegations are true. Can you imagine if he wouldn't have? It's like, I'm going to resign because
goddamn.
I did shit on that woman.
Isn't he like ultra old now, though?
He's
Isn't
like
he,
80 something.
89?
Yeah. He's
I mean, honestly, I could see, assuming, okay, we'll say not alleged, we'll say assuming, because we're always innocent until presumed guilty. Assuming he's innocent, I can honestly, if you have that kind of scandal come out when you're in your late 80s, I can seriously see him just being like, I'm just gonna resign. Fuck it. Like, I'm not,
Yeah.
I don't want to exit on this much of a shitstorm that I'm gonna have to be in legal battles for forever. That most people are not gonna be believing me. I could just walk away, and that's probably the thing I should do. I should retire. At the same time, if it is allegedly correct, then I mean, yeah, he'd probably
Yeah.
spend his last days in jail. Like
I
that's
mean, the thing is, if only
pretty horrible.
if only parts of them are true, that's already bad enough. I mean, this is this is the scandal he can't come back from, I think, because especially now that WWE is not its own thing anymore, it's under the TKO umbrella with UFC. There's like a whole different organization above them. They're basically calling the shots in that case. So yeah, he's too much of a liability now. Too many things, too many scandals have happened. So he's out. Interesting thing is, from what I understand, his his contract had a clause that only he could remove himself from the position, which is interesting that was allowed. But that's why he resigned. They couldn't fire him. He had to resign himself.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
it
insane.
is like I can't imagine wanting to stay though after allegations like that at that age. Like again, like if he was like 32 and had a big long career ahead of him, that would be a little bit different. But I mean, man, when you're in your 80s, like at
He's
some
also
point,
incredible. He's like a billionaire or something. Like he made so much money over the years. He doesn't need to work a day in his life. He didn't need to for a long time. He loves the hustle though, apparently. So he loves to just work hard. Like he sleeps like 4 hours a day, and just then he goes to train in the night, and then he's insane. He's a crazy person.
I mean,
Super
yeah, that
control
would make
freak.
it-
Yeah,
that would make a ton of
apparently it
sense.
goes. Apparently the control freakiness goes so far that he doesn't like to sneeze because he does not control of his own body.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's yeah, but yeah, it's yeah, we're gonna see where it goes. It's probably gonna be a lengthy legal battle. Obviously, he has lots of legal potential because he's very rich, so he's probably has a lot of good lawyers. What's more interesting is who is also involved. Who knew? When did they know? And why didn't they do anything? It's
Yeah, well, especially because it seems like a lot of people were involved in this. Like it wasn't like it was just him
yeah, that's the thing.
making inappropriate comments at her behind closed doors. It was like, no, there's some witnesses that could be called.
Yeah, I've read that TKO kind of wants to get rid of everyone who was close to Vince McMahon to just have a fresh start. It's gonna be interesting if they go through with this, and who will they get rid of? Because I could think of some names that are in pretty high positions that are very close to Vince McMahon, who I kind of hope aren't involved, because some of them I actually kind of like. They have some there's a podcast that I like, so hopefully they weren't involved, because they seem to be pretty chill actually, but maybe they aren't. Who knows? You never know a person until you know them. Huh?
Yeah,
But I don't want to throw anyone under the bus, obviously, but a lot of known people who are very close to Vince McMahon, where you have to wonder, it's like, man, do they not know anything about this?
I almost think, and again, like it would be, everything I will say at this point would be alleged, but I
obviously.
could imagine. I'm not actually saying don't even necessarily need to use Vince specifically, but in a world like professional wrestling, when you're a guy who's like older, has a stupid amount of money, is in pretty good shape for your age, and clearly has a lot of energy, the idea that you're playing with different rules for yourself in mind for potentially decades can maybe lead you to doing things that are morally incorrect. That I think almost anyone reading that account could agree that, if true, definitely morally incorrect at the very least. You kind of just think, well, yeah, but I mean, if other people did this, they'd be in jail. But whatever. I'm like, I'm different. I'm Vince McMahon. I can do stuff like this, and people let me because I'm in the position that I'm in. I could see that being a mentality that a person like that could have, but it also, you're not above the law no matter what. So you're just like, well, could you expect a guy that's surrounded by this much cocaine and this many women, this many jack dudes who are on crazy amounts of steroids? It's like, yeah, okay, but you're still living on planet Earth in the United States of America, right? And like you've got a set of moral moral compasses that you should be guided by, as well as a legal framework that is pretty specific about doing that kind of thing to people.
Yeah.
So it's really ugly though. So I don't know.
You
I
have
hope
to see.
justice is served, whether that means someone goes to jail or someone is exonerated, because it would be just as horrible if this lady just made all this stuff up,
Oh,
right?
absolutely. But it makes you wonder if she's because apparently that's the lady who was under the NDA. I mean, I feel like there's got to be something to grasp on, but I don't know how hyperbolic these might be. Obviously,
I don't think an NDA. I don't think an NDA can be legally binding if you're being required to not speak about actual crimes.
Well,
I
the
feel like
NDA is void anyway because he didn't pay anymore. So one way or another, she's fine with that.
well,
Yeah.
gosh, how confident do you have to be to stop paying if you were paying someone?
It's insane, especially if we're talking about these kinds of allegations. Like, why would you stop? Are you crazy?
Yeah. Like, dude, you've got maybe a decade left.
It's not like you can't afford the. I don't know what the NDA is. Let's say 10 million or whatever. It's like, why would you stop? You can afford it. I know you can. It's like everybody knows you can. But
yeah, that's wild. Anyways, I hope that the evidence comes to the surface and will prove either guilt or innocence, because it's always good when that happens. That it's not just, well, the jury seems to really not like him, so I guess he's going to jail, or, well, he's a treasure, so of course he's off. I don't like the idea of any criminal case being resolved that way, but yeah, and I guess the question is there the evidence or not? To prove the former or the latter, because honestly, if no evidence comes out, he's in just as terrible a situation. Like, his reputation's never going to be recovered exactly. There'll just be people who said, well, he never got convicted of anything, so it was just an allegation. But also, if nothing comes out that proves that, yeah, this lady was actually lying, she was just trying to get a whole bunch of money, then that it makes people say, okay, so that probably still happened then, right? And that's her reputation. It's not only your life, it's everything that people remember about you after you die.
Yeah.
It's why, like, Bill Cosby, like, I'm sure he would have loved to have just died a little bit earlier at this point.
Yeah. But yeah, crazy world out there, for sure. But let's read the super chats. Woo! Got 5 buckaroos from Jack Attack. Thank you very much. Good to have the Forge back. I'm glad to be back. It's always fun.
Yay.
Have you all seen the 12-hour Phantom Menace video? It's very high quality. I don't have to say I there was a sentence there I wanted to say, but I just put more words in it. I haven't. Let's just say I haven't.
I mean,
who's it from?
Is it as a pro or against? Like, are we talking about the Plinkett reviews? Because they weren't that long, were they?
They might have been, but I haven't seen them. No.
The episodes I think it was like 6, because they were about 2 hours each, and I think it was 3 parts. Although I haven't watched them in a long time, man. I watched them since like a decade before I ever saw like EFAP.
The last long video I've seen was from Patrician TV, actually, which was the Starfield video, which was very good.
Huh? Yeah, I'll check that out.
I watched it over like 3 days while doing other things. 8 hours. So lots of content, and it apparently could have been even longer. He had like even more notes. So good stuff. He was on EFAP last night, talking about Starfield. Actually, I wonder why.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, Guy and your mom. Hey, at least leave her some dinner. With $20, thank you very much. Don't mind this, just showing support. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And I hope you enjoyed your gloims. Odin with the $5, thank you. For a better Rebel Moon, watch the anime Samurai 7, based on the classic Seven Samurai. Oh, okay. Maybe need to
Samurai
check that
7's
out.
good. That's an old one too. It's good.
I think I heard that name before, but I don't think I've ever seen it.
Seven Samurai is a Kurosawa movie about titular 7 samurai that defend a village. There's actually a movie that's pretty similar called 13 Assassins. It's more recent, a lot more violent. But Magnificent 7, the Western, was kind of a remake of that. And Samurai 7 is a kind of sci-fi version of it. But that's an anime. Apparently, Rebel Moon is supposed to be based on the Seven Samurai, so I don't know how well it did. Again, I didn't see Rebel Moon. I can assume it did poorly.
All right. $5 from Hyperbolic Ninja. Thank you. Run of Purification has still not been unlocked by anyone. Also, Mastery with Breaching is harder than Dark Souls 3 and took me longer to beat than Dark Souls 3 did. Mastery Breaching. That's in Valhalla, right? Yeah, right. Yeah, I haven't done any of the super crazy things. We meant to do some super hard runs on when I was over at Maulers, but it wasn't really any time anymore. When or at least I said I didn't want to. We actually wanted to do a stream on the evening they do Stargrift, but apparently there was some not scheduling issue, it was like a information misunderstanding. So we wanted to do after, but then they started super late, and then I was tired and I had to fly the next day. So we didn't do that. I think we meant to do more. We meant to do Valhalla and just chill out for another stream. But yeah, we did a lot of IRL stuff that time I was over. Well, the one before that, we did like a stream every day. That's when we did all the God of War and Gears of War streams.
Games of War,
which was also fun, but that was too much streamage. Like we put ourselves on a lot of time constraints there with those streams. So this one was a bit more chill. But probably next time we're gonna do some more streams, hopefully. Obviously, Mola has like 700 streams he does every day, so I have to work around those.
His Stargrift co-host is gonna be hanging out with my wife in Orlando in like a few days.
Oh yeah, I think I saw
thing.
I think I saw that. Yeah, the some con. I think Drinker is there as well.
Oh, is Drinker going?
I think so.
I'm pretty sure Disparu's going, or at least Disparu said he was going to. I don't know. I have a feeling just everyone's going except for you and I, so we'll be in Canada and Germany respectively, knowing that people we like are having fun together without us.
Disgusting.
It's okay though.
But yeah, it was like super late when they were donezo, and then I was like, I'm gonna go sleep or something. Dove the Gene Cream Vader with the 10 Canadian, thank you very much. For the newest console, they released a patch for Dark Souls 3 to shoot up to 60 frames. What the puck is going on there? Come on, Miyazaki, the game is 1 year shy of being 10 years old. Yep.
Yeah, seriously.
And every Game Awards is like, Bloodborne, please? And it's like, no.
I mean, yeah, is it 1 year shy? I guess it would have been, was it 2014 that Bloodborne came out? Or was it 2015? It was 2014, wasn't it?
Is it
this year 10?
If it's a year shy of being 10 years old, it was probably 2014.
Guess maybe it came out. I don't remember what time of year it came out.
Yeah, Slumpy with the 5, thank you very much. Looks like I caught Mauler's Welsh internet. Catch you later. Here's my tip goal contribution. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Snort. Yeah, I think Mauler's internet died again during EFAB. His internet is weird. It just works, and then sometimes just like, I'm out.
Man,
for like a minute or two, so long enough to not reconnect quickly enough. So then you have to start a new stream. It's really annoying because it works perfectly fine for the most part.
Yeah, I never know which parts of the world are going to have terrible internet or shockingly incredible internet. Because I always hear about things like, oh yeah, Indonesia's got like the fastest internet in the world. Like, I'm not saying that's the case, but it'll be a random association of words like that where I'm like, really?
We might not have anything to drink, but our internet.
Yeah,
very good.
Like, yeah, you can get fiber optic all over Venezuela now. It's like, how come I can't get it in like the small town close to Toronto I live in? That's like the biggest city in Canada too. So it's like, wait, I'm pretty close to what should have good internet. Why is all my internet bad?
Damn it. I'm gonna see if I can get fiber here sometime. I mean, I have the fastest one I could get at the time I moved in here. I don't know if they changed anything though. Not that I necessarily need it, but if I could have it, I kind of want it.
Oh, maybe it's India. Maybe it's India. I was thinking of. James just says India and Japan apparently have insane internet.
Nice. Jose with the $5, thank you very much. Cancel Mootle, make him drink all the Malibu. Maybe I will. I probably will at some point again. Malibu is kind of nice to shot for those long streams. But yeah, I shall. Dr. Dilla, 14 months of a flim-flam. Thank you very much. Mong, have you recovered from your head amputation? My head was amputated. I don't even remember that, so I guess it went well. Hopefully.
I mean, I do hear Germans have developed pretty good body replacement tech. I did play Wolfenstein: The New Colossus.
Oh.
Did you play that game? Otherwise, you really have no idea what I'm talking about.
Wait, Wolfenstein? Yeah, I played those. I know what you mean.
Yeah,
Their crazy
they
plan
have
to just
transplants,
behead us
yes.
just once. Okay. Wait, EFAP is live?
here's the
It's
thing.
Sunday.
I
Why is
say-
there an EFAP today? Are they crazy? Are they insane?
Ruler Premiere, maybe? I don't know. You probably know better than I would.
I have no idea. I don't know what's going on. I mean, someone's chat that shit, so whatever. I mean, we're almost done though anyway, so I can see what these lads are up to soon. Probably they must be behind on episodes or something. Disgusting. Sturm with the 50 Swedish Kronen shekels. Thank you very much. It's Ark Survival Evolved, but with Pokemon instead of dinosaurs. Yeah, that's a lot of things that I've heard. That's doing those things. But yeah, it's very popular. It is. Critically GB with the 10 Canadian. Thank you very much. Looking forward to your playthrough of Dragon's Dogma, Mr. Mootle. Yeah, hopefully it's going to be fun. I should try out the Arcane Knight class, and I can't wait to see your take on the weird JRPG story and bizarre cutscenes. Yeah, I actually have no idea what I have to expect from these games. Surprisingly, I have no idea what the story is at all. I always hear it's very cool game.
In the little bit I played of it, there were like a shocking amount of Berserk references.
Oh, okay.
Even in like the first like hour and a half of the game, I was like, oh wow, I was like, maybe I should play this game. Damn, it seems like right up my alley.
Nice, but yeah, I'm looking forward to play
Mercedes is Casca. Like Mercedes just is Casca. They should have just called her Casca.
Okay.
The design is almost spot on. I was like, okay, well.
Warning: Dragon's Dogma is incomplete. Oh, okay. Well, we'll figure it out together. Well, I'll figure it out. You all know that game already. Let's see. Loki's Wager for the $5. Thank you. All right, so who's gonna make the Metals Forge Palworld server? I want to enslave monsters with y'all. I mean, yeah, go crazy, guys. Go add each other on Steam and do the thing. Actually, I need to make a Discord server for my channel at some point. I said it before, but I always forget to actually do it. So that would have been a good thing to have. So I could have just like, hey, you guys go to the Discord server and do the thing. But I still haven't made one because I'm a horrible person. But I want to do it correctly with Discord server, so it's not going to be a pile of whatever or something.
Yeah, I do have a Discord server. Mine is just kind of like it's very sparsely used, and I really just honestly use it for voice chat during games.
Right.
I have a little. But you know, people share memes in there and stuff, and
yeah.
I haven't noticed anything crazy that's gonna get me like banned. So I'm like, okay, it seems fine. Please don't go like share crazy bannable stuff in my Discord because of that. They're just humble people. There's like 10 people in there.
And we got £2 from Andrew Matthews. Thank you. Mark, why do you like 6 FPS? Surely 30 FPS is better.
Oh God. Is that Andrew Matthews?
Yeah.
But it's a constant meme because Andrew's often said that he's been a viewer for many years of mine and a great supporter too. And I respect a lot of his takes, but he seems to be one of the people who's blind to the difference between 60 and 30 FPS. So he acknowledges it and pokes fun at me about it because every time he hears me talk about it, he's like, you understand, like, because my brain can't perceive the difference, I think you're just talking like a crazy person when you're getting this obsessed about performance. And you know what? I think that's fair. Like my perception is different, but I would argue that mine is the correct one, Andrew.
Oh, got
Respectfully so.
All right. Well, that was the last one. I think that was the last one. Very good. Well, thank you very much for the super chats. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks everybody.
And I guess that wraps up the pilot duo episode of The Forge.
Yeah.
Did you got anything going on you want to plug, Ms. DeMark? Obviously, your channel is gonna be in the description every time, so you can find that over there. But go nuts! What you going on?
If you guys follow me over there, I'll probably later today I'll be streaming a little bit more of Infinite Wealth. We just arrived at chapter Yeah, we there's some new things going on that I didn't necessarily expect. So if you don't plan to play Infinite Wealth at all, come over there and feel free to either watch it to see what's going on in the game, or to either be surprised by or criticize Yong's voice, because we're playing it in English. I'm gonna play it again in Japanese afterwards, but my logic was, I feel like if I play it in Japanese first and see this story with Kiryu's normal voice, similar to how I did with Man Who Erased His Name, if
Yeah.
I go back and do it in English, I'm just gonna be like, no, I can't.
Yeah.
I was like, I know how he's supposed to sound in this scene, and it's just not right. We're seeing it in English first. I'm kind of okay with Kiryu's performance. I think Ichiban is incredible, and I suppose here, minor spoilers for a boss fight that happens like 4 chapters in 3, 2, 1. In English, you have Danny Trejo doing the voice of Danny Trejo in his boss fight,
Oh.
in which he uses 2 machetes.
Nice.
I was like, okay. I was like, we do get the Danny Trejo performance in the English dub, so
That's kind of
something.
fun.
Yeah. But
Very
yeah, that's what I've been up to, and then this show now.
cool. All right. Very good. Well, for me, I'm still getting back into the workflow. I've been 1 week in work again, just I don't know, picking up the pieces from everyone and fixing shit. I hope next week is going to be more chill, so I can go back to working on mi Vigia. That should hopefully go well. So hopefully I can very soon tell everybody what is this about. And obviously I'm going to be doing just game streams during the week. I'm still not sure what I'm going to play before Dragon's Dogma. I'm still undecided, but you'll see. But the game after that is going to be Dragon's Dogma 1, and probably right after Dragon's Dogma 2. Depends how much time is left. But that's just what's going on for me. As I just saw, apparently, if you want more of the AI art and ethics in AI, apparently the lads over at EFAB are going to talk about that. So,
Oh, hooray. Is Shaq going to be on?
he isn't. That's what I checked. That would have been interesting.
Yeah, there's a reason I don't ever talk about AI art on Twitter, everybody, because it's like whatever stance I'm taking at any given time, the other stance is going to tear me apart, and I'm not well enough researched on it to have a solid stance.
I can just talk about the things I can think of, and then guess what might happen, or has to be done. But I don't know. I'm good. But yeah, that's that. Thanks all for hanging out. Thanks for watching. And yeah, you will see us in a duo every Sunday at, well, the same time, I imagine. Unless anything changes, we'll let you all know on wherever, Twitter or something. I don't know.
Except for the one after Valentine's Day, I will be on a plane.
Yeah, but we'll probably try to record an episode for that, and that goes live then. That's the plan. But you will know in advance, I'm sure. Anyway. Go watch EFAB. Go watch that other stinky show. Okay, bye everybody.
Yay. Bye everyone. Thanks again.